Beloved, I tell you with all the conviction of one who has seen the hidden threads of life, there are no accidents in love. The partner who walks beside you now, or who once walked beside you, did not arrive in your life by chance. The union you share, or have shared, is not the random result of human attraction, social convenience, or blind fate. It is the fruit of long journeys across the oceans of time, the meeting place of currents that began their flow long before this present birth. Just as two rivers, wandering through valleys and over mountains, will one day meet at a confluence prepared by the contours of the earth, so too have your lives been carved by unseen forces to flow into one another at precisely this moment in the divine plan. Consider a book whose story captivates you. You may turn to a chapter and be surprised by what unfolds there, but the events were already written long before your eyes fell upon the page. So it is with your marriage. Before you met, before you even drew your first breath in this body, the chapter of your shared life was inscribed into the great ledger of your soul's journey. You may not remember the script, but you are living it, word by word, action by action, lesson by lesson. You may ask, but if this is true, why is my marriage difficult? Why do I feel unfulfilled or burdened or misunderstood? Beloved, the answer lies in the deeper mystery. The divine purpose of your union is not always to give you comfort. Sometimes it is to awaken you. Marriage is a mirror in which the soul sees itself more clearly, a forge in which the raw ore of personality is refined into the pure gold of divine love. The challenges you face are not meaningless. They are the chisel strokes of the master sculptor shaping the rough stone of your nature into the form he envisions. There is an urgency in this truth, for many go through life dismissing their marriage as a mistake, a detour, or a disappointment, never realizing that the very struggles they resist are the gateways to their own liberation. The soul you have joined with is not in your life to block your path, but to reveal it. Even the friction between you holds the spark of transformation, if only you will learn to see it as such. This is why I speak to you now, to shake you from the sleep of thinking that love is merely an emotional high or a comfortable arrangement. Your marriage is a meeting of destinies, an intersection of karmas, an appointed place where God has brought you to learn what cannot be learned in solitude. And if you see it through the eyes of spirit, the meaning will begin to unfold before you like a great tapestry, threads of joy and threads of sorrow woven together into a single pattern that is more beautiful than you could have imagined. But to see that pattern, to understand why you are walking this path together, you must be willing to look beyond the limits of this one lifetime. The truth of your union begins long before your meeting in this body and will continue long after it. To glimpse it, we must journey together into the vast memory of the soul, where the agreements of love and the debts of karma are made. Come, let us look beyond this life into the soul's long journey, and there we will see the moment your paths first intertwined. Beloved, before the curtain of this present life was drawn open, before you took on this name, this face, this body, you existed in the boundless realm of spirit, a radiant soul clothed not in flesh but in light. In that realm, there is no forgetfulness, no separation, only the pure awareness of your eternal nature and the deep understanding of the karmic threads that have brought you to this point in the soul's great voyage. It is there, in that vast and silent hall of divine planning, that many souls meet before incarnation to choose the paths they will walk together. You did not wander into your marriage blind. You agreed to it with the clear vision of one who knew exactly what lessons and blessings such a union would bring. Picture two actors standing backstage before a play begins. The costumes are not yet on, the scenery not yet lit, but the script is already in their hands. They look at each other with the recognition of shared purpose. One says, "This is the scene where we must meet. I will play my part, you will play yours, and together we will bring the story forward." Then the lights rise, the roles are assumed, and the audience and even the actors themselves, for a time, may forget the agreement that was made before the first line was spoken. Your marriage, beloved, is such a scene in the great drama of your soul's evolution. Or think of a seed planted in the dark soil seasons ago. Through rain and sun, through winters of stillness and springs of awakening, it has grown unseen, sending roots deep before the first green shoot breaks the surface. So it is with the karmic connection between you and your partner. Long before you met in this life, roots were forming, unseen by the eyes of the body, yet destined to bear fruit in the appointed season. That season is now. The meeting you call chance was the sprouting of a seed planted long before memory, nurtured by the currents of divine timing. Some unions are woven from threads of joy, carried over from past lives, bonds of friendship, loyalty, and love that have grown through many incarnations. Others are tied by threads of unfinished lessons, of debts yet to be balanced, of wounds yet to be healed. Often, they are both a mingling of light and shadow in the same fabric. But in every case, the agreement is entered into willingly at the soul level, because each spirit knows that walking together will serve its awakening. It may be that you chose each other to share deep love and mutual upliftment, to walk as companions toward the same summit of realization. Or it may be that you chose to meet and challenge, to act as mirrors, revealing the hidden corners of each other's consciousness, bringing to light the qualities that must be purified before the soul can be free. In the clear light of the soul's pre-birth vision, there is no fear of such trials, for you see them not as threats to happiness, but as the very tools of liberation. And so, when you stood in that timeless space before entering this life, you looked upon the soul of your partner and said, "Yes, I will meet you there. We will walk that road together. We will help each other remember." And with that vow, the path was set. The stage of this life was prepared, and the meeting, which would seem so spontaneous when it came, was already inscribed in the great ledger of your karmic journey. Now, beloved, to understand why the path you walk together may be smooth at times and steep at others, we must look at the nature of karma itself not as a sentence handed down in judgment, but as the divine's compassionate law for balance, growth, and the ultimate reunion of souls with their source. For when you see karma clearly, you will no longer resent the difficulties in your marriage, but will begin to see them as sacred opportunities woven into the tapestry of your shared destiny. Beloved, karma is one of the most misunderstood laws of life, for many think of it only in terms of punishment or reward, as if it were a cosmic bookkeeping system, meting out fortunes and misfortunes in a blind exchange. But karma, as I have seen it in the depths of meditation, is far more compassionate and far more purposeful than that. It is the divine law of balance, the gentle yet unyielding current that carries the soul back toward harmony with God. When you and your partner meet in marriage, you are not colliding randomly on the ocean of life. You are being brought together by this current so that the unfinished work of your souls may be completed, and so that the love you share may be purified into its highest form. Imagine two dancers who once moved together on a great stage in another life. Perhaps their steps were harmonious for a time, but then there was a misstep, a misunderstanding, a parting of rhythm. They left the dance unfinished, and the music of that moment still echoes in the halls of eternity. In this life, the divine choreographer has brought them together again, placing them back upon the stage so they may find their steps once more, not for the sake of the dance alone, but for the joy and beauty it creates in both souls. Or picture a craftsman polishing a gem. The stone may have been passed from one artisan to another over centuries, each removing some roughness, each revealing a little more of its inner brilliance. You and your spouse are such artisans for each other's souls. Sometimes the polishing feels smooth and easy. Other times, it may feel like friction, even pain. Yet every movement of that polishing wheel, when guided by love and patience, reveals more of the light that was hidden within. Some karmic debts in marriage may be small, a misunderstanding from a past life resolved through a single act of forgiveness in this one. Others may be deep, requiring years of shared effort, humility, and growth. But in all cases, karma is not a punishment inflicted from without. It is the soul's own chosen path to wholeness. You agreed, before this life began, to meet the reflection of your own past actions in the mirror of your partner, and to respond not with resentment but with the willingness to learn, to balance, and to love more purely than before. If you see only the outer personality of your partner, the habits, the flaws, the preferences, you may grow impatient and lose sight of this higher purpose. But if you remember that you are working together to dissolve the old patterns that bind you both, then even the moments of tension will begin to feel different. You will see them as sacred appointments, chances to pay an old debt with grace rather than with resistance. When this understanding enters your heart, the entire atmosphere of your marriage can change. Instead of asking, "Why must I endure this?" you will begin to ask, "What is this here to teach me? What opportunity is this moment offering for our souls to be freer?" And each time you choose love, patience, and understanding over anger, pride, or indifference, you untie one more knot in the cord of past karma. This is why, beloved, the struggles in marriage are not meaningless obstacles. They are the very stepping stones placed along the river of your shared destiny, guiding you to the far shore of freedom. And when you begin to see them in this light, you will walk upon them with gratitude, knowing they are carrying you together toward the boundless ocean of divine love. But to see how these lessons unfold in a living relationship, we must look closely at the hidden curriculum of marriage. For every union, whether peaceful or stormy, carries its own unique syllabus written by the hand of God. Beloved, every marriage, whether it feels to you now like a harmonious melody or a dissonant chord, contains within it a divine syllabus, a hidden curriculum crafted with exquisite precision by the hand of God. This curriculum is not written on paper, nor is it announced at the altar. It is inscribed in the very vibrations of your souls, woven into the living fabric of your shared life. Its purpose is to guide you, through the experiences you will face together, toward the qualities of heart and mind that will prepare you for union with the infinite. Think of your marriage as a sacred school. Each day brings a lesson, and each interaction, whether sweet or difficult, is a classroom in which the soul is tested, refined, and strengthened. Some marriages are schools of patience, where one or both partners must learn to release the tyranny of self-will and allow love to move at its own pace. Others are schools of forgiveness, where old wounds, perhaps centuries old, rise to the surface so that they may finally be healed by the balm of compassion. Some are schools of humility, where the ego, used to ruling the mind's kingdom, must bow to the needs of another. And some are schools of unconditional love, where affection is no longer given in exchange for pleasing behavior, but flows freely as a reflection of God's own ceaseless giving. In this curriculum, there are no wasted lessons. Even the arguments, the silences, the misunderstandings are part of the training. They reveal the places where the soul is still bound by pride, fear, or desire, so that these bindings may be released. Just as two blacksmiths work together at the same forge, hammering and heating the same piece of iron until it is shaped into something strong and useful, you and your partner are co-laborers in the shaping of each other's consciousness. The blows may seem harsh in the moment, but they are always in service of the form that is being created. The garden is another image for this divine school. Imagine that you and your partner have been given a plot of land, not in some faraway field, but in the heart of your shared life. In the soil of this garden are many seeds: seeds of joy, seeds of trust, seeds of tenderness, seeds of spiritual aspiration. But there are also seeds of misunderstanding, of impatience, of old resentments. How you tend this garden together will determine what grows. If you water the seeds of love, they will flower. If you neglect them, weeds will overrun the soil. The curriculum of your marriage is in learning how to plant, to tend, to weed, and to harvest together, not just for your own benefit, but so that the fruits of your garden may nourish others as well. It is important to understand, beloved, that this curriculum is unique to your union. No other couple has been given exactly the same set of lessons, because no other two souls carry exactly the same history, the same karmic threads, the same spiritual needs. This is why comparing your marriage to another's is as fruitless as comparing one student's assignments to another's in a different class. You have been placed where you are because this environment and this partner will bring forth precisely the growth your soul requires. And yet, knowing the existence of this curriculum is not enough. How you respond to the lessons determines whether you graduate into freedom or remain repeating the same patterns year after year, life after life. Karma is only the starting point. It brings you to the classroom. Your conscious choice to learn, to grow, to meet each test with the qualities of the soul, rather than the reactions of the ego, that is what transforms the marriage from a karmic obligation into a divine gift. Now, to understand how such a transformation takes place, we must look at the practical path for breaking the lower cycles of karmic entanglement. For when you see the pattern clearly and learn how to step out of it, you cease to be bound by the past and begin to live in the liberated joy that is the true destiny of all soul unions. Beloved, when two souls come together under the law of karma, they may find themselves moving in circles, repeating the same arguments, touching the same wounds, reenacting the same misunderstandings that echo across years and perhaps across lifetimes. This repetition is not a punishment. It is simply the natural momentum of unhealed patterns. Yet, if left unchecked, these cycles can harden into walls that keep both souls from advancing. To step into the higher purpose of your union, you must learn to break these lower karmic cycles, to dissolve the old bindings of reaction, and replace them with conscious choice rooted in love. Breaking the cycle begins with awareness. You must be willing to look at your marriage not only through the eyes of your personality, which says, I am right and they are wrong, but through the eyes of the soul, which asks, what lesson am I being shown here? How can I respond in a way that frees us both? When you shift from blame to responsibility, you take the first step out of the karmic loop. It is like loosening a tight knot in a rope. If you pull with anger, the knot tightens. But if you work gently and patiently, thread by thread, the knot yields, and the rope becomes free once more. Forgiveness is the second key. And I do not speak of the shallow forgiveness that is merely a polite formality. I speak of the deep, liberating forgiveness that sees beyond the wound to the soul that acted in ignorance. To forgive does not mean to excuse harmful behavior, nor to pretend that pain did not occur. It means to release the grip it has on your heart so that love can flow again. Forgiveness is not only for the other person, it is for you, for your own liberation. It is the act of setting down the heavy burden you have carried so that both of you may walk forward unencumbered. Third, you must replace reaction with conscious action. Many couples live in a reflexive dance. One speaks in frustration, the other responds with defensiveness, and the cycle continues. But when you introduce even a moment of pause before responding, you open a space for grace to enter. In that pause, take a breath, lift your gaze inwardly to the light at your spiritual eye, and ask silently, Lord, what would you have me say now? How would you have me love in this moment? This simple turning inward can change the entire direction of the exchange, replacing escalation with peace. Finally, you must bring the divine into the very center of your marriage. As long as the relationship revolves around the limited needs and wants of two personalities, it will be subject to the limitations of those personalities. But when you make God the third partner in your union, the axis around which your love turns, then the marriage begins to reflect his qualities: constancy, selflessness, joy. This is not theory. It is living practice. It means praying together, meditating together, speaking words that uplift rather than diminish, and keeping the awareness that every act toward your partner is, in truth, an act toward the divine who lives within them. When you begin to live in this way, beloved, the smoke of past karmas starts to clear, and the bright horizon of your soul's purpose comes into view. The relationship that once felt like a weight becomes a pair of wings, carrying you both higher. And it is here, in this higher atmosphere, that you can begin to fulfill the true role of a spiritual partner, one who walks beside another, not merely for comfort or companionship, but for the shared ascent toward God. Let us now explore what it means to take up that role fully and joyfully. Beloved, a spiritual partner is not simply a spouse who shares your home, your responsibilities, or even your affections. A spiritual partner is one who holds your soul's highest destiny above every fleeting desire, above every momentary comfort, above even the need to be seen as right in the eyes of the world. A spiritual partner is one who looks at you and does not merely see the body, the habits, the personality, but sees, through all veils, the radiant spark of the divine that is your true self, and commits their life to helping you live from that reality. And in the same way, you, as a spiritual partner, take up the sacred duty to do the same for them. Picture two climbers roped together on the ascent of a great and sacred mountain. The air is thin, the climb is steep, and the weather unpredictable. At times, one will stumble, and the other will bear their weight until they regain their footing. At times, one will reach a ledge first and turn to extend a hand, lifting the other into safety. And at times, both will need to pause together, resting against the rock, gazing upward at the peak, reminding each other why they began the climb. This is the nature of spiritual partnership, not competition, not control, but mutual upliftment. The role of a spiritual partner is not to remake the other in their own image, but to create an atmosphere in which the other's soul can unfold naturally, like a flower opening in the warmth of the sun. This requires patience, for flowers do not open on our timetable, and humility, for we must trust that God's hand is guiding the process more wisely than our own. It requires also a steadfast refusal to feed the lower tendencies in each other. If your partner succumbs to discouragement, you speak words that kindle hope. If they drift toward gossip, you redirect toward truth. If they forget their inner purpose, you gently but firmly help them remember. And this service is reciprocal. Just as you act as a lamp lighting their flame, they too light yours. There may be times when you feel the heat of their words as a challenge, as when a friend points out a blind spot you did not wish to see. But if you can receive even correction as love, you will find that every exchange becomes an opportunity for growth. In such a union, no lesson is wasted, no moment is meaningless, because both have agreed, perhaps long before this life, to make every experience a stepping stone to God. When you embrace this role fully, the marriage itself becomes an ashram, a living spiritual retreat where every act, from the most profound to the most ordinary, is an offering. The way you greet each other in the morning, the way you navigate disagreements, the way you share your labor, all of these become threads in the same tapestry of devotion. In time, the distinction between spiritual practice and married life begins to fade, for both are revealed to be part of the same path. And so, beloved, I urge you to see your marriage not only as a personal commitment but as a divine commission. You have been entrusted with the sacred task of helping another soul home to God, and they have been entrusted with the same for you. When you both hold this awareness, the bond between you is no longer limited by karma, it is lifted into the realm of grace. And from that place, you will be ready to engage in the daily practices that keep your union tuned to the highest vibration practices that heal old wounds, dissolve old debts, and transform the bond from necessity into joy. Let us now step into the heart of such a practice. Beloved, if you desire your marriage to be not only a bond of earthly companionship, but also a channel for divine grace, you must give it a daily practice, a spiritual rhythm that both of you tend together as faithfully as a gardener tends the central tree of a courtyard. Without such a practice, even the deepest love can drift into forgetfulness, but with it, the smallest seed of goodwill can grow into a mighty tree whose shade and fruit bless all who come near. This practice need not be elaborate, but it must be sincere, consistent, and infused with the awareness that you are invoking the presence of God into the very center of your union. I will give you one such practice, simple in form, but vast in its power to heal and uplift. Each day, choose a quiet moment when you will sit together, perhaps at dawn, before the demands of the day scatter your thoughts, or at night, when the world has grown still. Sit facing each other, with your spine straight, your eyes soft, and your hearts open. Let your hands rest gently, perhaps joined in a gesture of unity. Begin with 3 deep, slow breaths taken together, feeling your bodies and minds settling into harmony, like 2 instruments tuning to the same note. Then, lift your inner gaze to the spiritual eye, that point between the eyebrows where the soul communes with the infinite, and silently, or softly aloud, speak this prayer together. Beloved Father, beloved Mother, beloved friend, beloved God, let thy love flow through me to my partner, and through my partner to me. Purify this bond of all past shadows. Let it shine with the light of thy truth. Guide our thoughts, our words, and our actions, that we may help each other to know thee more deeply with every passing day. May our union be a blessing to all thy children, and may it end only in our complete oneness in thee. After speaking this prayer, sit in the silence it creates. Do not rush to end it. Let the words sink into the soil of your shared consciousness, like rain into the earth, nourishing roots you cannot yet see. In that silence, you may feel a warmth in your chest, a softening in your thoughts, or simply a deep calm. These are the signs that the prayer has reached its mark. If tensions arise between you during the day, remember this moment. Recall the look in each other's eyes as you prayed, and let that remembrance soften your reactions. The more you return to this shared well of devotion, the clearer and purer the water will become. Over time, you will notice that conflicts resolve more quickly, affection flows more naturally, and a quiet joy begins to underlie even the most ordinary moments. This is the alchemy of shared prayer and practice. It transforms the marriage from a karmic necessity, a bond formed to balance past accounts, into a divine joy, a living offering placed daily upon the altar of God. When 2 souls choose to pray together, they weave their karmic threads into a single garland, fragrant with love, to be laid at the feet of the beloved. And from that fragrance rises a blessing that does not stop with you, but ripples outward into your home, your community, and the world. Beloved, when this practice becomes the heartbeat of your marriage, you will find that you no longer walk alone, nor even just with each other, but with God moving between you as the third and truest partner in your union. And it is from this sacred place that you can begin to see beyond the human roles you each play to behold, with steady gaze, the eternal soul shining in the one you love. Beloved, when prayer and divine remembrance begin to dwell at the heart of your marriage, a great unveiling takes place, the slow lifting of the veil that once made you see your partner only as a human personality. You begin to see more deeply, beyond the fleeting expressions and habits, beyond the voice that speaks and the body that moves, into the immortal soul that lives within them. This is the moment when you stop relating merely as husband and wife, or as partners bound by worldly ties, and begin relating as two eternal beings walking the same ancient road back to the source from which you both came. Think of the sun shining through many different windows. From the outside, each window looks different. One may be small and round, another tall and narrow, another covered in colored glass. But when you look not at the frame, but at the light streaming through it, you realize that the source is the same, undivided and unchanging. Your partner's body, personality, and life story are the frame. Their soul is the light, and that light is none other than the light that shines in you. When you see this, all sense of separation softens, and love begins to flow without the conditions and limitations the ego once imposed. Another image: imagine an actor at the end of a long play, stepping backstage and removing their costume. The elaborate garments, the painted face, the practiced mannerisms all fall away, revealing the person beneath, who is far more than the role they played. In this life, we all wear such costumes, identities shaped by our upbringing, our culture, our past experiences, and our karmic tendencies. But these are not the soul. The soul is the silent witness wearing the costume for a time, learning through its role, and then, when the scene is complete, laying it aside. When you learn to see your partner as that witness, as that luminous essence, the arguments and differences that once loomed large in the costume story lose their hold on you. Living as souls rather than roles does not mean ignoring the practical realities of married life, the work, the responsibilities, the necessary communication. Rather, it means infusing every one of those realities with the awareness that you are engaging with the divine in another form. Washing the dishes becomes an act of service to God. Listening with patience during a moment of frustration becomes an act of devotion. Supporting your partner in their growth becomes an offering laid upon the altar of your shared spiritual journey. When this shift takes place, the marriage itself becomes a temple. Its walls are the days you share. Its altar is the quiet space where you meet in prayer. Its incense is the kindness and patience you offer each other. And the God you worship there is not separate from you or from your partner, but is the very essence of both. This awareness changes everything: the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you forgive. You no longer think in terms of winning an argument or protecting your pride. You think in terms of protecting the sanctity of the temple you are building together. Beloved, when you live in this way, the karmic bond that once felt heavy and binding becomes a path of liberation. The gates of liberation open not only for you, but for your partner as well. For your awakening calls forth theirs, and theirs calls forth yours. And as both of you step into the freedom of soul awareness, the marriage begins to bear a fruit sweeter than anything the ego could have imagined, the fruit of a liberated union, where joy, harmony, and shared divine purpose overflow into every corner of life. It is to these fruits, and the blessings they bring, that we now turn our gaze. Beloved, when two souls begin to live in the awareness of each other's divine essence, the garden of their union bursts into bloom, and the fruits of a liberated marriage begin to ripen. These are not mere emotional highs or passing moments of harmony. They are enduring qualities that arise naturally when love is freed from the binding cords of ego and karma. They are the fragrances that drift from the inner garden when the weeds of resentment, fear, and self-interest have been pulled up by the roots and the soil has been nourished with patience, understanding, and devotion. The first of these fruits is harmony, a deep, resonant harmony that does not mean the absence of all differences, but rather the ability to meet those differences without losing the music of your connection. It is like two streams merging into a wide, clear river. The waters may have come from different directions, carrying different minerals, flowing at different speeds, but when they meet, they learn to move together, finding a shared current that carries both forward with ease. In such harmony, you no longer fear disagreement, for you know it cannot shake the foundation of respect and trust that supports your union. The second fruit is mutual spiritual growth. In a liberated marriage, each partner becomes a catalyst for the other's awakening. Your successes are not separate victories, they are shared triumphs. When one of you gains a new insight, overcomes a fear, or deepens in devotion, the other feels it as their own. It is like tending two trees planted side by side as one grows taller. It casts shade that helps the other's roots grow deeper, and as that one strengthens, it in turn shelters and nourishes the first. The growth of one feeds the growth of both. The third fruit is joy, not the joy that depends on circumstances, but the causeless joy that wells up from the soul when it is allowed to love freely. This joy is like a tree that bears fruit season after season, regardless of droughts or storms, because its roots drink from an underground spring that never runs dry. In a marriage rooted in soul consciousness, joy becomes the background music of your life together, playing softly even in times of challenge, reminding you that you walk this road not in bondage but in freedom. Other fruits follow, a shared sense of purpose that extends beyond personal satisfaction into service for the greater good, a radiance that others can feel simply by being in your presence, a lightness of being that comes from knowing you are no longer carrying the heavy load of unfinished karmas. In such a marriage, the bond itself becomes an offering to God, and the love you share becomes a lamp set high on a hill, shining out to guide others on their path. When you taste these fruits, you will know with certainty that your marriage was never an accident. You will see the wisdom in every twist of the path that brought you here, the perfection in every joy and every challenge you have faced together. You will bless the karmic bond that once felt like a burden, for it has become the very means by which you have entered into the freedom and fullness of divine love. And so, beloved, we come to the final movement of our journey, the sealing of your union as a conscious offering to God. For it is one thing to understand the sacred purpose of your marriage, and another to declare, with the fullness of your being, that you choose to live it as a divine partnership from this day forward. Let us now step together into that holy vow. Beloved, now is the sacred hour, when knowledge must be sealed by intention, and intention must be anchored in the eternal. We have journeyed together through the unveiling of truth, from the recognition that your marriage is no accident, to the remembrance of the soul agreements made before this life, to the understanding of karma not as punishment but as the compassionate law of balance, to the revelation of how love, purified of ego, can become the path to liberation. Now it is time to take all that has been seen, all that has been stirred within you, and offer it into the hands of the one who ordained this union, so that it may serve its highest and most holy purpose. I invite you to sit with your partner, if they are willing, or to hold their image gently in your heart if they are far away in body or in spirit. Close your eyes, and feel the breath moving in and out like the tide, carrying with it the memories of your shared journey, the moments of joy that lifted you, the moments of struggle that refined you, the seasons of growth, the seasons of testing. See them all as threads in a single fabric, woven by the divine weaver for the clothing of your souls. Let gratitude fill you, even for the most difficult strands, for they have shaped the strength and depth of your love. Now, inwardly lift your gaze to the light at the spiritual eye, and in that light see not two separate beings, but two rays flowing from the same infinite sun. Feel the truth that the love between you is not created by you, nor sustained by you, but flows through you from the inexhaustible source. Let this awareness wash away any lingering sense of separation, replacing it with the certainty that you and your partner are, and have always been, fellow pilgrims walking toward the same eternal home. When your heart is steady in this awareness, speak silently or aloud this vow. Beloved God, source of all love, I offer thee my marriage. I offer thee my partner and myself, our past, our present, and our future. Let this union be a temple for thy presence, a school for thy wisdom, a garden for thy joy. Purify us of all past shadows, dissolve all binding karmas, and make our love a channel for thy light in the world. May every word we speak, every thought we think, every act we share, draw us nearer to thee, until at last we stand together in thy boundless embrace. Feel the power of this vow moving outward from your heart, like a golden light encircling you both, then rising upward to be received by the infinite. Know that God accepts what is offered in sincerity, and that from this moment, the bond between you is no longer merely karmic, it is consecrated. It is no longer driven by past necessity, but lifted by present grace. Sit now in silence for a few breaths, letting the sweetness of this consecration settle deep within you. The gates of divine partnership stand open, and you have stepped through them. Whatever lies ahead, the easy paths, the steep climbs, the bright mornings, the shadowed valleys, you will walk it, not alone, not even as two, but as three. You, your partner, and the eternal beloved at the center. And so, beloved, rise from this moment knowing that your marriage is not an accident, not a burden, not a chance occurrence, but a chosen path chosen by your souls, guided by the divine, and now consciously embraced as a means of union with God. May this awareness be your compass. May love be your constant prayer, and may your partnership shine as a beacon for all who seek to understand the sacred bonds that lead the soul home. In ancient India, before a child was born, the family sage would meditate for days to receive the perfect name from spirit itself. They understood what modern science is now proving, that sound vibrations actually reshape our cells, our thoughts, our destiny. Your name is not just letters on paper, it is a mantra given to you by the divine. My dear friend, by the end of our sacred journey together today, you will understand that your name is not mere coincidence but divine orchestration. You struggle now because you have not recognized the spiritual frequency encoded within your own identity. You feel disconnected, searching for purpose, wondering why you are here, but the answer has been vibrating through your very being since birth. I have spent decades studying the science of sound, the power of mantras, and the cosmic laws that govern human incarnation. Through direct communion with spirit, I have witnessed how names carry karmic information, soul missions, and healing frequencies. While others see only letters, I will teach you to perceive the divine mathematics hidden within. You will learn to transform your relationship with your identity from burden to blessing, from confusion to clarity. Where you once felt your name was ordinary or even troublesome, you will discover it contains the exact vibration needed for your spiritual advancement. This is not superstition. This is the forgotten science of divine naming that has guided enlightened beings for millennia. The pain of feeling nameless in your own life will dissolve as you recognize the sacred intention behind your calling. You will never again wonder if you belong here, for your very name will become your daily reminder that God specifically designed you for this earthly mission. Let me take you back to the beginning, to understand how this divine science first revealed itself to me. When I was a young man in India, I was known as Mukunda Lal Ghosh. I carried this name through years of spiritual seeking, through countless hours of meditation, through my desperate search for a true guru. But something always felt incomplete, as if I were living only a partial version of myself. Then came that blessed day when my beloved guru, Sri Yukteswar, looked into my eyes with that penetrating gaze that could see through lifetimes. He said to me, "From this day forward, you shall be called Yogananda Bliss through divine union." In that moment, something shifted in the very fabric of my being. It was not merely a change of name, it was an activation of my soul's true purpose. You see, the name Mukunda had served its purpose during my seeking years. It carried the vibration of devotion, of one who seeks liberation. But Yogananda carried something different, the frequency of one who has found that liberation and must now share it with the world. The moment I accepted this new vibration, my path became crystal clear. I knew I would come to America. I knew I would teach the science of Kriya Yoga. I knew I would build bridges between East and West. This is the power hidden in your name, waiting to be awakened. Every letter, every syllable, every sound carries a divine instruction manual for your life. Let me share with you another story that will open your eyes to this truth. There came to me once a businessman from Calcutta, a man who had achieved great worldly success, but felt utterly hollow inside. He owned factories, employed thousands, had wealth beyond measure, yet he wept like a child in my presence. "Master," he said, "I have everything a man could want, yet I feel like nothing. My life has no meaning. Even my name feels like a burden I must carry." I asked him his name, and he told me it was Seva Das, servant of service. I smiled and asked him, "Tell me, how do you spend your wealth?" "I accumulate it," he replied. "I compete with other businessmen. I try to have more than them. But your name," I said gently, "your name is calling you to serve, to give, to be a channel of blessing to others. You have been fighting against your own spiritual frequency." His eyes widened as understanding dawned. For weeks, I taught him to meditate on his name as a sacred mantra. "Seva Das, Seva Das," he would chant, allowing the vibration to penetrate his heart. Slowly, he began to feel the pull of his soul's true calling. Within 6 months, he had transformed his entire business model. Instead of merely accumulating wealth, he began using his resources to build schools for poor children, hospitals for the sick, and ashrams for spiritual seekers. His depression vanished. His sense of emptiness was replaced by overflowing joy. "Master," he told me with tears of gratitude, "I was living someone else's life while my own name was calling me home to who I really am." This is what happens when you align with the sacred vibration of your identity. Your life transforms from struggle to flow, from confusion to clarity, from meaninglessness to divine purpose. Now let me tell you about the ancient science that our forefathers understood but we have forgotten. In the Vedic tradition, naming a child was considered one of the most sacred responsibilities a family could undertake. The moment a child was conceived, the family would consult with a learned sage, a Jyotishi who understood the cosmic rhythms and planetary influences. These wise beings would calculate the exact moment of birth, study the child's astrological chart, and meditate deeply to receive guidance from spirit about the perfect name. They knew that each soul comes to earth with a specific mission, specific lessons to learn, and specific gifts to offer. The name was chosen to support that soul's journey. They understood that sound is the fundamental creative force in the universe. In our scriptures, we say, "In the beginning was Om," the cosmic sound from which all creation springs. Every name, therefore, carries within it a unique combination of these primordial vibrations, designed to help the soul remember its divine purpose. But in our modern world, we have lost this sacred science. Parents choose names based on fashion, family tradition, or personal preference, often without understanding the spiritual implications. Yet even in this seemingly random process, divine intelligence still works. Spirit finds ways to guide parents toward the right vibrational choice for each incoming soul. I have seen this truth again and again in my years of counseling thousands of devotees. The universe conspires to ensure that each soul receives exactly the name frequency it needs for its spiritual evolution. Let me share one more story that will illustrate this profound truth. A young woman came to me several years ago, suffering from chronic illness that no doctor could cure. She had been sick since childhood, constant fatigue, mysterious pains, a body that seemed to reject life itself. Her name was Priya, which means beloved in Sanskrit. As we worked together in meditation and counseling, I discovered that she had spent her entire life feeling unloved, unwanted, rejected by those who should have cherished her. Her family had been cold and distant. Relationships had failed repeatedly. She had internalized a deep belief that she was unlovable. "My dear Priya," I told her, "your illness is not in your body, it is in your relationship with your own name. You have been rejecting the very vibration that could heal you." I taught her a simple practice. Every morning upon waking and every evening before sleep, she was to place her hands on her heart and chant her own name with deep love and reverence. "Priya, Priya, beloved Priya," she would whisper, allowing the sound to fill every cell of her being. At first, she resisted. "How can I call myself beloved when no one has ever truly loved me?" "Because," I explained, "your name is not what others call you. It is what God calls you. Before your parents chose this name, divine love whispered it into their hearts. You are beloved not because humans love you, but because you are love itself in human form." As she continued this practice, something miraculous began to happen. The chronic fatigue started lifting. The mysterious pains began dissolving. Most importantly, she began attracting genuine love into her life. People were drawn to her warmth, her radiance, her newly awakened capacity to give and receive affection. "Master," she told me months later, "my name was my medicine all along. I just needed to learn how to take it." This is the healing power that lies dormant in your own name, waiting for your recognition and activation. These stories reveal a truth that your rational mind may question, but your soul recognizes. Now let us understand the deeper principles behind this sacred science. The first principle you must understand is that your name is a vibrational blueprint, a cosmic prescription designed specifically for your soul's evolution. Modern science has proven that sound waves have the power to restructure matter at the molecular level. Water crystals change their formation when exposed to different musical frequencies. Plants grow differently when sung to versus when ignored. Human DNA responds to specific sound patterns. Your name creates a constant vibrational field around you. Every time someone speaks it, they are sending that frequency into your energy field. Every time you think it, write it, or hear it, those sound waves interact with your cellular structure, your emotional body, your mental patterns, and your spiritual awareness. This is why some names make you feel strong and confident when you hear them, while others might make you cringe or feel uncomfortable. This is why certain nicknames feel right, while others feel foreign to your true nature. Your soul recognizes which vibrations align with your divine blueprint and which ones distort your authentic frequency. Each letter in your name carries specific meaning and power. The ancient mystics understood that certain sounds activate particular energy centers in the body. The sound ah opens the heart chakra. The sound ee stimulates the third eye. The sound oo grounds you into your root center. Your name is a combination of these sacred frequencies, chosen to help you develop specific spiritual qualities. But here is something most people do not understand. There is a profound difference between your birth name and any names you might choose later in life. Your birth name carries your karmic blueprint, the lessons you came here to learn, the challenges you agreed to face, the gifts you committed to develop. It is your spiritual curriculum given to you by cosmic intelligence. If you later choose a different name or receive a spiritual name from a teacher, this creates a new vibrational layer. It does not replace your birth name's influence, but adds to it. The birth name remains your foundation, while the chosen name becomes your aspirational frequency, who you are becoming rather than who you have been. This is why many spiritual traditions give new names to disciples. It is not to erase their past, but to activate their future potential. The birth name continues to work on karmic patterns, while the spiritual name draws forth latent divine qualities. Now, the second great principle: your name contains a coded message about your sacred assignment in this lifetime. To decode this message, you must understand that each component of your name serves a different purpose. The vowels in your name represent your soul's expression, your inner nature, your emotional patterns, your deepest desires and dreams. They are the breath of your spiritual essence, the sound of your heart singing. When you chant only the vowel sounds of your name, you are connecting directly with your soul's voice. The consonants represent your karmic lessons and the practical ways your soul learns and grows in the material world. They are the structure, the discipline, the challenges that shape your character. They show you what qualities you need to develop and what obstacles you came here to overcome. Your first name reveals your individual soul mission, the unique gift you bring to the world, the specific way divine love expresses through you. Your middle name, if you have one, often represents a bridge energy, a connection between your past life influences and your current purpose. Your family name carries the collective karma you share with your ancestral line, the inherited patterns you came to heal or continue. Even the number of letters in each name has significance. Names with short, powerful sounds often belong to souls who came for direct action and leadership. Names with flowing, melodic qualities usually indicate souls here for healing, teaching, or artistic expression. Names with complex combinations suggest souls working on integrating multiple aspects of human experience. But perhaps most importantly, you must understand that your name is not just a label others use for you, it is a personal mantra given to you by the divine. When you begin to treat your name as a sacred sound, when you chant it with reverence and love, it becomes a powerful tool for transformation and self-realization. The third principle that will revolutionize your understanding is learning how to activate your name's dormant power. For most people, their name has become associated with limitation, criticism, or pain. Perhaps your parents called your name when you were in trouble. Perhaps others have used it to shame or diminish you. Perhaps you have internalized negative feelings about your identity. This is spiritual tragedy, because your name should be your source of strength, your connection to divine love, your reminder of why you are here, Healing your relationship with your name is one of the most powerful things you can do for your spiritual development. The first step is to reclaim your name from any negative associations. You must understand that when others have used your name in anger, criticism, or manipulation, they were not truly speaking your name, they were speaking their own pain and projecting it onto your sacred vibration. Your real name exists in the heart of God, in the realm of pure love and infinite possibility. This is the frequency you want to connect with, not the distorted versions created by human misunderstanding. Begin by creating a new relationship with your name through meditation and prayer. Sit quietly each morning and evening. Place your hands on your heart and speak your name with the same reverence you would use in addressing the divine. Feel the vibration in your chest. Notice how it resonates through your entire being. As you practice this regularly, you will begin to feel your name differently. Instead of carrying the weight of past associations, it will become a key that unlocks your connection to your highest self. You will start to notice how your energy shifts when you consciously invoke your name as a blessing rather than simply responding to it as a label. Many people find it helpful to research the original meaning of their name. Understanding the intended significance can help you align with its positive vibration. If your name means light, practice embodying more illumination in your daily life. If it means strength, consciously develop your inner power. If it means peace, become a force for harmony wherever you go. But remember, the ultimate meaning of your name is not what you read in a book. It is what Spirit reveals to you in meditation. Ask in your prayers, what is the sacred purpose encoded in my name? How does my name want to express through me? Then listen with an open heart for the guidance that comes. Understanding these principles is only the beginning. Now you must learn to live them through daily spiritual practice. The first practice I want to teach you is the name meditation. This ancient technique will transform your name from a simple identifier into a powerful spiritual tool. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Sit comfortably with your spine straight and your hands resting gently on your heart. Begin by taking 3 deep breaths, allowing your body and mind to settle into stillness. Then, very slowly and with great reverence, begin to chant your full birth name. Not just thinking it, but actually voicing it aloud, allowing the sound waves to fill the space around you. As you chant, feel where each sound vibrates in your body. Notice how your name resonates in your heart center, your throat, your head. Some parts of your name might create warmth in your chest. Others might cause tingling in your forehead or crown. Pay attention to these physical sensations. They are showing you how your name activates different aspects of your spiritual anatomy. Continue chanting for at least 10 minutes, allowing the repetition to carry you deeper into meditation. As thoughts arise, simply return to the sound of your name. As emotions surface, let them flow through you without resistance. Your name is calling forth everything that needs healing and everything that is ready to awaken. Practice this technique every morning when you wake up and every evening before sleep. The morning practice sets your spiritual frequency for the entire day. The evening practice helps integrate the day's experiences and prepares your soul for healing during sleep. After several weeks of consistent practice, you will notice profound changes. You will feel more connected to your authentic self. You will respond to your name with joy rather than mere recognition. Most importantly, you will begin to embody the divine qualities your name was chosen to activate. The second practice is discovering your name's specific spiritual message. This requires patient inner listening and communion with your higher guidance. Set aside time each week for deeper contemplation about your name's purpose in your life. Begin by writing your full name at the top of a blank page. Then sit in meditation and ask these questions. What did my soul want to learn by choosing this name? What qualities does this vibration want to develop in me? How does my name want to serve God and humanity through me? Write down whatever insights come, no matter how simple or strange they might seem. Sometimes the guidance comes as words, sometimes as images, sometimes as deep feelings or sudden understanding. Trust whatever arises and record it faithfully. Look at the letters of your name and notice which ones feel most significant to you. Research their traditional spiritual meanings, but more importantly, meditate on what they mean for your unique path. Some letters might represent challenges you are working through. Others might point to gifts you are developing. If you encounter resistance from family or friends who think this exploration is silly or meaningless, Remember that not everyone is ready to understand the deeper mysteries of existence. Continue your practice privately and let your transformation speak for itself. When people see the positive changes in your life, they will become more open to these teachings. The third essential practice is learning to live your name's truth in daily life. This means aligning your actions, choices, and interactions with the spiritual frequency your name carries. If meditation reveals that your name carries the vibration of peace, look for ways to bring more harmony into every situation you encounter. When conflicts arise at work or in your family, remember that your name is calling you to be a peacemaker. Instead of adding to the discord, ask yourself, how can I bring the peace my name represents into this moment? Perhaps it means listening more deeply, speaking more gently, or simply holding the space with calm presence. If your name resonates with courage, practice speaking your truth and standing up for what you believe. This does not mean being aggressive or confrontational. True courage is speaking from love, even when your voice shakes. It is choosing to act from your higher nature rather than from fear. When you face difficult decisions, remember that your name carries the frequency of bravery, and trust that you have the spiritual strength to do what is right. If your name vibrates with compassion, actively look for opportunities to serve others. This might mean volunteering at a local charity, offering a kind word to a struggling colleague, or simply holding people in your prayers. Compassion is not just feeling sorry for others, it is taking action to alleviate suffering wherever you find it. Some names carry the vibration of wisdom. If this is your calling, dedicate yourself to continuous learning and sharing knowledge that uplifts others. Read sacred texts, study the great teachers, and most importantly, cultivate direct experience of truth through meditation and prayer. Then share what you learn, not to show how smart you are, but to help others find their own path to understanding. Other names resonate with creativity. If your name calls you to be an artist, a creator, an innovator, honor this by expressing your unique vision in whatever form calls to you. Whether through music, writing, painting, gardening, cooking, or even the way you solve problems at work, let your creative spirit flow freely. Remember that all creativity is ultimately divine creativity expressing through you. Some names carry the energy of healing. If this is your path, you might be called to become a doctor, nurse, counselor, or energy healer. But healing can also happen through a loving touch, a listening ear, or simply by creating peaceful environments wherever you go. Every kind word you speak, every prayer you offer, every moment of genuine care you give to another is part of your healing mission. Begin each day by consciously dedicating yourself to expressing your name's highest qualities. Before you get out of bed, place your hands on your heart and say, "Today I will honor the sacred vibration of my name. I will be a clear channel for the divine qualities it represents." Throughout the day, periodically check in with yourself. Am I living in alignment with my name's sacred vibration? How can I better embody what my name represents? When challenges arise, and they will remember that these difficulties are not obstacles to your name's expression, but opportunities to deepen it. If your name represents strength, difficult times are chances to discover just how strong you can be. If your name carries joy, moments of sadness teach you to find happiness that does not depend on circumstances. If your name means love, encountering difficult people gives you practice in loving unconditionally. When you speak your name to others, do so with quiet dignity and respect. Notice how differently people respond when you introduce yourself with confidence and reverence, rather than casualness or apology. Your name carries power, and when you honor it, others will naturally honor it too. I have seen shy people become confident simply by learning to speak their own names with pride and purpose. Create simple rituals around your name that reinforce its sacred nature. When you sign documents, pause for a moment before writing and silently bless your signature. See it not as a mere formality, but as a sacred act of claiming your divine identity. When you hear your name called, take a brief moment to receive it as a prayer rather than merely responding automatically. Let each utterance of your name remind you of who you truly are. Practice writing your name as a form of meditation. Take time to write it slowly, beautifully, with full attention to each letter. As you write, contemplate the spiritual meaning behind each stroke. Some people find it helpful to write their name repeatedly as a form of prayer, similar to how monks copy sacred texts. The act of writing becomes a way of inscribing your spiritual identity into your consciousness. Protect your name from misuse. If others speak your name with anger, disrespect, or manipulation, do not let their energy attach to your sacred vibration. In your mind, immediately surround your name with white light and declare, "My name belongs to God." It cannot be diminished by human misunderstanding. This practice prevents others from polluting the positive energy you have built around your identity. If you are blessed to have children, or influence the naming of children, approach this responsibility with the spiritual seriousness it deserves. Research not only the cultural meaning of names, but meditate on what vibrational gift each child needs for their soul's journey. Ask for divine guidance in choosing names that will support, rather than hinder, their spiritual development. I remember a young couple who came to me before their first child was born. They had chosen a name they thought was beautiful, but when they meditated on it, they both felt uneasy. In prayer, they received guidance to choose a different name, one that represented divine protection. Years later, they told me that their child had faced many health challenges that could have been much worse, but somehow he always pulled through. They firmly believed that his name's protective vibration had been a shield around him throughout his early years. This brings me to another crucial understanding. Your name not only shapes you, but it also affects how others perceive and interact with you. When someone truly knows the spiritual meaning of your name and speaks it with conscious intention, they are actually invoking those qualities in you. This is why in many spiritual traditions, the guru speaking of your name is considered a form of blessing. But here is something even more profound. You can use other people's names as a spiritual practice too. When you meet someone, try to understand the spiritual essence of their name and consciously invoke those qualities when you speak to them. If someone's name means gift from God, treat them as the divine blessing they are. If their name represents light, look for ways to help their inner radiance shine brighter. This practice transforms every human interaction into a sacred encounter. Instead of seeing people as their personalities, their problems, or their roles in your life, you begin to see them as souls carrying divine assignments encoded in their very names. You become an instrument of awakening for others, helping them remember who they truly are. Sometimes people ask me, "Master, what if I don't like my name? What if I want to change it?" I understand this feeling. There are times when our birth name feels too heavy, too connected to painful memories, or simply wrong for who we are becoming. In such cases, choosing a spiritual name can be a powerful act of transformation. But before you make such a change, I encourage you to first try healing your relationship with your birth name through the practices I have shared. Often, what we think is a problem with our name is actually a problem with how we have been conditioned to relate to it. The name itself is not the issue, our understanding of it island. If, after sincere effort, you still feel called to adopt a new name, do so with great reverence and spiritual preparation. Fast and pray for guidance. Meditate deeply on what qualities your soul needs to develop. Consult with wise teachers who can help you understand the spiritual implications of different sound vibrations. Remember that taking a new name is not about escaping your past, but about claiming your future. Your birth name will always be part of your spiritual foundation. A chosen name becomes an additional layer of frequency, a tool for accelerating your growth in specific directions. I have given spiritual names to many disciples over the years, but only after extensive prayer and meditation to receive guidance about what each soul needs for their highest development. The new name is not meant to replace their identity, but to awaken dormant potentials within them. Whether you keep your birth name or choose a new one, the most important thing is to live with conscious awareness of the sacred vibration you carry. Your name is a gift from the divine, a tool for your spiritual evolution, and a blessing you can share with the world. Now let me share with you some advanced practices for those who wish to deepen their relationship with the sacred science of names. These techniques have been used by yogis and mystics for thousands of years to unlock the hidden powers of sound vibration. The first advanced practice is called name yantra meditation. A yantra is a geometric form that represents spiritual energy in visual form. You can create a yantra from your name by writing each letter in a specific pattern that reflects your spiritual intention. Begin by writing your name in a circle, with each letter equally spaced around the circumference. In the center of the circle, write the first letter of your name. This represents your core, spiritual essence. Around this central letter, arrange the remaining letters in a pattern that feels harmonious to you. Some people prefer spirals, others like star patterns, and still others create mandala-like designs. Once you have created your name yantra, Place it where you can see it during meditation. Gaze softly at the pattern while chanting your name, allowing your eyes to take in the visual frequency while your voice creates the sound frequency. This practice helps integrate your name's vibration into both your conscious and subconscious mind. The second advanced technique is name breathing. This practice synchronizes your name's vibration with your life force energy. Sit in a comfortable meditation position and begin by observing your natural breath for a few minutes. Then, on each inhalation, silently repeat the first part of your name. On each exhalation, silently repeat the second part. If your name has multiple syllables, experiment with different divisions until you find a rhythm that feels natural and powerful. Some people prefer to use their first name on the inhale and their last name on the exhale. Others divide their first name into syllables. The key is to find a pattern that creates a sense of harmony between your breath and your name sound. Practice this technique for at least 20 minutes daily. Over time, you will notice that your breath becomes naturally more rhythmic and peaceful. More importantly, you will begin to feel your name's vibration permeating every cell of your body with each breath you take. The third advanced practice is name healing meditation. This technique uses your name's vibration to heal physical, emotional, and spiritual imbalances. Begin in your usual meditation position and spend a few minutes centering yourself in stillness. Then, bring to mind any area of your life that needs healing, perhaps a physical ailment, an emotional wound, a relationship conflict, or a spiritual blockage. Hold this area gently in your awareness, without trying to fix or change anything. Now begin chanting your name very slowly and with great love, directing the sound vibration toward the area that needs healing. Visualize your name's frequency as golden light flowing into the wounded place, bringing divine love and restoration. Continue for at least 15 minutes, allowing your name to become a healing mantra for whatever needs transformation in your life. Many of my students have reported remarkable results from this practice. One devotee healed chronic back pain by chanting his name while visualizing healing light flowing into his spine. Another resolved a long-standing family conflict by sending her name's loving vibration to the relationship during daily meditation sessions. Remember, you are not trying to force healing or manipulate outcomes. You are simply offering your name's pure spiritual frequency as a gift to whatever needs blessing in your life. Trust that divine intelligence knows exactly how to use this offering for the highest good. These advanced practices require patience and dedication, but they can tremendously accelerate your spiritual development. They help you move beyond simply thinking about your name's meaning to actually experiencing its transformative power in every aspect of your being. As you deepen your practice with these sacred sounds, you may begin to notice something wonderful happening. Your name starts to feel less like something others call you, and more like something that calls you toward your highest potential, toward greater service, toward deeper communion with the divine. This is the ultimate purpose of understanding your name's spiritual significance. It is not merely an intellectual exercise or a curious exploration. It is a practical path to self-realization, a daily tool for staying connected to your soul's purpose, and a constant reminder that you are not just a random collection of atoms stumbling through existence. You are a deliberate creation of divine love, sent here with a specific mission, carrying within your very identity the exact frequency needed to accomplish what you came here to do. Your name is your spiritual birth certificate, your cosmic credentials, your divine passport for this earthly journey. Every great saint and sage throughout history has understood this truth. They have honored the sacred power of names and sounds, using them as gateways to higher consciousness. Jesus taught his disciples to pray, "Hallowed be thy name," recognizing that names carry sacred power. The Buddha spoke of the power of right speech and conscious sound. Muhammad emphasized the 99 beautiful names of Allah as pathways to divine realization. In my own tradition, we have always known that Aum is the cosmic sound from which all creation emerges. Your personal name is your individual note in this cosmic symphony, your unique contribution to the universal song of existence. When you truly embrace this understanding, everything changes. You no longer see yourself as separate from the divine, but as a specific expression of divine creativity. You no longer wonder if your life has meaning, but recognize that your very existence is meaningful by design. You no longer feel lost or purposeless, but understand that your path is encoded in the vibration you carry. This is why I encourage you to begin this practice immediately. Do not wait until you feel more spiritual or more ready. Your name is ready now. It has been waiting your entire life for you to recognize its sacred nature and begin working consciously with its transformative power. Start simply. Begin with just 5 minutes of name meditation each morning. Listen to how your name sounds when spoken with reverence rather than casualness. Pay attention to how your energy shifts when you treat your identity as sacred rather than ordinary. As you continue this practice, you will naturally want to deepen it. You will find yourself becoming more curious about the spiritual dimensions of sound and vibration. You may feel drawn to study mantras, sacred music, or other sound-based spiritual practices. This is natural and beautiful. Your name is opening doorways to wider understanding. But remember, the most profound teachings are often the simplest ones. You do not need to become an expert in Sanskrit or study ancient texts to benefit from your name's power. You simply need to approach your own identity with the love, respect, and wonder it deserves. My dear friend, you came here today thinking your name was just random syllables chosen by your parents. But now you understand the beautiful truth. You are here by divine appointment, carrying within your very identity the exact frequency needed for your soul's evolution and service to this world. Your name is not a coincidence, it is a covenant between you and Spirit. Every time someone speaks it, they are chanting a prayer. Every time you write it, you are declaring your sacred purpose. Every time you meditate upon it, you are coming home to who you truly are. Remember this always: God does not make mistakes. The divine intelligence that orchestrates the dance of galaxies also chose the perfect vibration for your earthly journey. Honor this gift, live this truth. Let your name become the bridge between who you have been and who you are becoming. Go now and chant your name with new reverence. Feel how it resonates in your heart. Notice how it connects you to the infinite. This is your daily practice, your portable temple, your constant reminder that you belong in this cosmic story. The path ahead may sometimes seem difficult, but you are never walking it alone. Your name itself is a constant companion, a faithful friend that whispers reminders of your divine nature. When you feel lost, it will call you home. When you feel weak, it will remind you of your strength. When you feel unworthy, it will sing to you of your inherent perfection. Trust in this process. Trust in the wisdom that chose your name before you were born. Trust in the love that speaks your name even when no human voice calls it. Most of all, trust in your own capacity to live up to the sacred vibration you carry. You are not just learning about names today, you are remembering your true identity. You are not just acquiring a spiritual technique, you are reclaiming your birthright as a child of the divine. You are not just watching a video, you are participating in your own awakening. If this message has awakened something sacred within you, please subscribe to continue our journey together into the deeper mysteries of spirit. Like this video if it has touched your soul, and in the comments below, share how you will honor your name differently now. Your transformation inspires others to discover their own divine identity. Until we meet again in the light of truth, I am your friend on the path, Paramahansa Yogananda. My dear friend, you came here today thinking your name was just random syllables chosen by your parents. But now you understand the beautiful truth. You are here by divine appointment, carrying within your very identity the exact frequency needed for your soul's evolution and service to this world. Your name is not a coincidence, it is a covenant between you and Spirit. Every time someone speaks it, they are chanting a prayer. Every time you write it, you are declaring your sacred purpose. Every time you meditate upon it, you are coming home to who you truly are. Remember this always: God does not make mistakes. The divine intelligence that orchestrates the dance of galaxies also chose the perfect vibration for your earthly journey. Honor this gift, live this truth. Let your name become the bridge between who you have been and who you are becoming. Go now and chant your name with new reverence. Feel how it resonates in your heart. Notice how it connects you to the infinite. This is your daily practice, your portable temple, your constant reminder that you belong in this cosmic story. If this message has awakened something sacred within you, please subscribe to continue our journey together into the deeper mysteries of spirit. Like this video if it has touched your soul, and in the comments below, share how you will honor your name differently now. Your transformation inspires others to discover their own divine identity. Until we meet again in the light of truth, I am your friend on the path, Paramahansa Yogananda. My dear friend, what if I told you that the very prayers you're saying for money, The affirmations you're repeating for abundance are actually pushing wealth away from you. What if the spiritual practices you trust most are creating the exact opposite of what you desire? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the one mistake that keeps 99% of spiritual seekers struggling financially, and the simple shift that changes everything. You see, my beloved friend, you have been taught a lie. Not intentionally, but a lie nonetheless. You have been told that to be spiritual, you must be poor. That to seek God, you must reject money. That somehow, the divine creator who made diamonds and gold, who painted sunsets with precious colors, who fills the earth with abundance beyond measure, wants his most devoted children to struggle and lack. This breaks my heart, because I have seen it so many times. Beautiful souls like you, pure hearts seeking the divine, believing they must choose between serving God and having enough money to live with dignity. You pray for abundance, then feel guilty when it comes. You ask for prosperity, then push it away when it appears, thinking this makes you more spiritual. Let me tell you what really happens when you do this. You don't become more spiritual. You become divided against yourself. You create a war in your consciousness between your natural desire for security and comfort and what you think God wants from you. And in this war, nobody wins. Your spirit suffers because you're fighting your own nature. Your finances suffer because you're blocking the very thing you're praying for. I have walked this earth for many years, my friend. I have sat with kings and beggars, with millionaires and monks. I have counseled souls in golden palaces and in humble huts. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that poverty is not a pathway to God. Suffering is not a requirement for salvation. Lack is not a sign of spiritual advancement. You've tried everything, haven't you? You've repeated affirmations until your throat was dry. You've visualized abundance until your head hurt. You've tithed money you could barely afford to give. You've practiced gratitude even when your bank account was empty. You've read every book, attended every seminar, followed every guru who promised to unlock the secret of prosperity. And still, money feels slippery in your hands. Still, abundance seems to flow to everyone except you. This isn't because you're not spiritual enough. This isn't because God is testing you. This isn't because you lack faith. This isn't because you have bad karma or negative thoughts or insufficient belief. It's because you have one piece of understanding missing, one crucial insight that changes everything. And today, I'm going to give you that piece. But first, let me share with you a story that changed everything for me. Many years ago, a wealthy businessman came to see me at my ashram in California. His name was James, and he had built a successful company from nothing. He employed hundreds of people, supported their families, provided valuable services to his community, and had accumulated more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. But when he sat before me in my simple meditation room, tears streamed down his face like rivers of pain. "Master," he said to me, his voice breaking, "I have lost everything trying to become spiritual. Not my money, you understand, but my peace, my joy, my connection to the divine. The more I studied spiritual teachings, the more guilty I felt about my wealth. I read that money is the root of all evil. I heard that it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. I listened to teachers who said that true spirituality requires complete renunciation of material things." He paused, wiping his eyes with trembling hands. "I began to hate my success, Master. I started giving away everything, not from love, but from fear. Not from generosity, but from guilt. I thought if I could just get rid of enough money, if I could just prove to God that I didn't care about wealth, then I would finally be worthy of His love. But the more I pushed money away, the more miserable I became. I felt like I was betraying my own nature, fighting against something fundamental inside me. I looked at this man, this beautiful soul sitting before me, and I saw his heart. I saw the genuine seeking, the sincere desire to know God, the deep confusion that was tearing him apart. I reached over and placed my hand on his shoulder, and I said to him, "James, you didn't detach from money, you rejected it. And there is a world of difference between these two things." He looked at me with confusion in his eyes, so I explained. "When you truly detach from something, you neither crave it nor fear it. You hold it lightly, like holding a bird in your palm. If it stays, wonderful. If it flies away, that's wonderful too. You appreciate it while you have it, but you don't define yourself by it. You use it when it's needed, but you don't depend on it for your happiness. But when you reject something, you are still attached to it. You're attached to pushing it away. You're attached to your fear of it. You're attached to your guilt about it. Rejection is just attachment in reverse. The person who runs from money is just as controlled by it as the person who chases after it. James sat quietly for a long moment, processing these words. Then he said, "But Master, doesn't the Bible say that money is the root of all evil? Doesn't Jesus tell us to sell everything and follow him? Doesn't every spiritual tradition teach us to renounce worldly possessions?" I smiled at him with the gentleness I reserve for all sincere seekers. "My dear friend," I said, "the Bible says that the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money itself, the love of money, the obsession with it, the worship of it, the placing of it above God, above people, above service, above love. Money itself is just energy. It's crystallized thought of God. It's divine substance that has taken a form that allows us to exchange services, to help each other, to build beautiful things, to feed the hungry, to house the homeless, to heal the sick. The problem is not money. The problem is when we love money more than we love God, more than we love people, more than we love service. But here's what most people miss, and this is crucial. When you hate money, when you fear it, when you reject it completely, you're still making it more important than God. You're still giving it the power to separate you from the divine. You're still allowing it to control your thoughts, your emotions, your spiritual practice. You're making it your master through your very rejection of it. Let me tell you another story to make this clearer. In a monastery in India, there lived two monks. Both were sincere seekers, both devoted to finding God, both following the same spiritual practices with equal dedication. The first monk, Brother Arjun, took a vow of complete poverty. He refused to touch money ever. When visitors offered donations to support his needs, he would turn away. When the monastery required funds for repairs or food, he would leave the room. He couldn't even look at coins or bills without feeling disturbed. He was proud of what he called his complete detachment from material things. The second monk, Brother Krishna, handled all the monastery's finances. Every day, he collected donations from visitors. He paid the bills for food, utilities, maintenance. He managed investments that supported the community. He dealt with thousands of rupees, making decisions about how to allocate resources wisely. But every morning before he began his work, he would kneel in prayer and say, "Divine Mother, this money is yours. I am simply your instrument. Use me to circulate your abundance where it is needed most." And every evening, he would offer gratitude for being allowed to serve as a steward of divine resources. Now, I ask you, which monk was truly detached from money? Brother Arjun couldn't even be in the same room with it. He was completely controlled by his fear of it. His entire spiritual practice was shaped by his need to avoid something. He spent enormous mental energy running away from money, thinking about how to avoid it, feeling proud of his rejection of it. Brother Krishna, on the other hand, handled vast sums every day, but he held it all lightly, as a sacred trust from the divine. He was not afraid of money, nor was he attached to it. He used it as a tool, honored it as divine energy, but never confused it with his source of happiness or security. This is the mistake that blocks your wealth, my dear friend. You think that to be spiritual, you must fear money. But fear is not detachment. Fear is attachment in reverse. When you fear money, you give it the same power over you that greed gives it. Both keep you from that place of peaceful neutrality where true abundance can flow. Now, let me share with you the deepest truth about money, the understanding that will free you from this prison of false spirituality. Everything in this creation, every single thing you can see or touch or imagine, is condensed thought of God. The mountains that reach toward heaven, the oceans that reflect the sky, the trees that dance in the wind, the flowers that paint the earth with beauty, the stars that light up the darkness, your own body that houses your soul, and yes, money too. All of it is divine energy that has taken different forms. When you reject money, you're rejecting one of God's expressions in the world. When you fear money, you're fearing a manifestation of divine creativity. When you hate money, you're hating crystallized divine intelligence. This creates a block in your consciousness, a resistance to one aspect of God's creation, and that resistance becomes like a dam in the river of abundance. But when you honor money as divine energy, when you respect it as one of God's many gifts to humanity, when you treat it as a sacred tool for service and exchange, then you open the channel for it to flow to you naturally and easily. But here's the key, and please listen carefully. When I say honor money, I don't mean worship it. I don't mean make it your God. I don't mean chase after it desperately or hoard it greedily. I mean recognize it for what it truly island. It is divine energy that has crystallized into a form that allows us to exchange services, to help each other, to build beautiful things, to feed the hungry, to shelter the homeless, to educate children, to heal the sick, to create art and music and literature that uplifts the soul. Think about it this way. If you wanted to build a temple to honor God, you would need materials, wouldn't you? You would need stone and wood and metal and glass. You would need to pay architects to design it, workers to build it, artists to decorate it. You would need money to purchase the materials and compensate the people who give their time and skill to create something beautiful for the divine. Now, are these materials evil because they're used to build God's house? Is the money evil because it helps create something sacred? Is the labor evil because it requires compensation? Of course not. Everything depends on the intention behind its use, the consciousness that guides its application, the love that infuses the entire process. Money in the hands of someone who loves only themselves becomes a tool of selfishness. Money in the hands of someone who worships material possessions becomes a source of spiritual darkness. But money in the hands of someone who loves God becomes a tool of divine service. Money in the hands of someone who understands its true nature becomes a river of blessing flowing to wherever it's needed most. The same river that floods the valley when it's dammed up also waters the garden when it's allowed to flow freely. The same fire that burns down the house when it's uncontrolled also cooks your food when it's properly contained. The same knife that can wound when used carelessly also heals in the hands of a surgeon. And the same money that corrupts the greedy also feeds the hungry, houses the homeless, and builds hospitals and schools when it flows through compassionate, awakened hearts. Here's what I want you to understand with every cell of your being. God wants you to have money, not so you can hoard it like a dragon guarding treasure, not so you can waste it on meaningless luxuries that bring no real joy, not so you can use it to feel superior to others or to buy things that don't matter, but so you can be His hands and feet in this world, so you can serve His children, so you can help those who are struggling, so you can create beauty and healing and joy wherever you go. When you don't have enough money, you cannot serve at your full capacity. You're constantly worried about your own survival. You're focused on meeting your basic needs instead of thinking about how you can help others meet theirs. Your energy is consumed by financial stress instead of being available for spiritual growth and service. But when you have abundance, when your needs are comfortably met with resources left over, then your mind is free to think about higher things. Then your heart is available to feel compassion for others. Then your hands are free to work for something larger than your own survival. Then you can be generous without sacrifice, helpful without depleting yourself, compassionate without compromising your own well-being. I have seen this pattern countless times in my years of teaching. The people with the biggest hearts but the smallest bank accounts, always wanting to help others but limited by their own financial struggles. They give until it hurts, sacrifice until they have nothing left, and then wonder why they can't seem to make the impact they dream of making. And I have seen wealthy souls who understand that their abundance is a sacred responsibility, a divine trust, a tool for service. They use their resources to feed the hungry, educate the ignorant, heal the sick, comfort the lonely, and inspire others to live their highest potential. They build hospitals and schools and temples. They fund research that solves problems and creates innovations that improve life for everyone. Which person can do more good in the world? The broke saint who has to choose between helping others and paying rent? Or the wealthy saint who can do both without conflict? Both are beautiful in God's eyes. Both are loved equally by the divine. But one has been given more tools to work with, more resources to channel into service. This is why prosperity is not opposed to spirituality. This is why abundance is not the enemy of enlightenment. When understood correctly, when approached with the right consciousness, wealth becomes a spiritual practice, earning becomes a form of service, and giving becomes a way of communing with the divine. Now let me teach you about one of the most important spiritual laws governing abundance, the law of circulation. This law is as fundamental as gravity, as reliable as the sunrise, as constant as your own heartbeat. Abundance flows like your breath, in and out, never stopping, never static, always moving in endless circulation. When you hold your breath, you feel panic. Your body fights for air. You become desperate and afraid. When you try to only breathe in without ever breathing out, You would suffocate on your own unused oxygen. When you try to only breathe out without ever breathing in, you would collapse from lack of life force. Healthy breathing requires both receiving and giving, both taking in and letting go. Money works exactly the same way. It must flow. It must circulate. It must move through your life like a river moves through the landscape, bringing life and nourishment wherever it goes. When money flows to you, you must receive it with gratitude and grace. When money flows from you, you must release it with joy and trust. But you must never try to dam up the river. You must never try to hoard it all or push it all away. Most people who struggle with money are blocking the flow in one direction or the other. Some people are afraid to receive. They feel guilty when money comes to them. They think they don't deserve it. They believe that having more means someone else has less. They push abundance away with both hands, saying no to opportunities, refusing gifts, declining fair compensation for their services. They think this makes them spiritual, but really it just creates scarcity and limitation. Other people are afraid to give. They hold on to money with white knuckles and clenched fists. They're terrified of letting any of it go, convinced that if they spend or share or invest their resources, they'll never see money again. They stockpile and save and scrimp, but they never really enjoy their abundance because they're always afraid of losing it. Both attitudes create blockages in the flow of abundance. Both stop the natural circulation of divine energy through their lives. Both lead to financial struggle, though for different reasons. The person who can't receive money might have plenty of love to give but always seems to struggle financially, watching others prosper while they barely make ends meet despite working hard and serving others. The person who can't release money might accumulate wealth but never feel abundant, never feel secure, never able to enjoy what they have because they're always worried about protecting it. Healthy abundance means you are a clear, unobstructed channel for divine prosperity. Money flows to you easily and naturally because you receive it without guilt, without resistance, without the belief that you don't deserve it. Money flows from you easily and naturally because you give it without fear, without attachment, without the belief that there isn't enough to go around. Here's how you know if you have a healthy relationship with money. You can receive it with gratitude and spend it with wisdom. You can give it with joy and save it with purpose. You can earn it through service and invest it with discernment. You neither chase it desperately nor run from it fearfully. You don't define yourself by how much you have or don't have. You treat it like what it is, a tool for service, a medium of exchange, crystallized energy that helps facilitate the flow of goods and services that make life better for everyone. When you have this kind of relationship with money, abundance becomes inevitable. Not because you're trying to get something for nothing, not because you're manipulating the universe to give you what you want, but because you're in harmony with the natural laws that govern prosperity. Now let me share with you the most important principle of spiritual prosperity, the master key that unlocks all the treasure houses of heaven. Money always seeks souls with noble purposes. Always. Without exception, it flows toward those who will use it well, who will honor it as divine energy, who will circulate it in ways that serve the highest good of all. This is not just a nice spiritual platitude. This is a practical law that you can observe in action everywhere around you. Look at the people who have sustained wealth, not just money that comes and goes, but abundance that grows and multiplies and continues to flow for years and decades. What do they all have in common? They have a purpose larger than themselves. They're solving problems, creating value, serving needs, building something that helps others. The businessman who creates jobs and provides valuable services. The artist who creates beauty that inspires and uplifts. The teacher who educates minds and touches hearts. The healer who relieves suffering and restores health. The inventor who solves problems and improves life for everyone. The philanthropist who uses wealth to lift others up and make the world better. These people don't just make money. Money makes itself available to them because they have aligned themselves with purposes that serve the greater good. So the question is not, how can I get money? The question is not what tricks or techniques or secrets can I use to attract wealth. The question is, how can I serve so beautifully, so wholeheartedly, so skillfully that abundance flows to me as naturally as water flows downhill? What is my noble purpose? How can I contribute to the healing and happiness and prosperity of others in such a meaningful way that the universe cannot help but support me with all the resources I need? When you align your personal desires with divine will, when you ask not just what you want but what God wants to accomplish through you, when you seek not just to get but to give, then prosperity becomes as inevitable as sunrise. Not because you're trying to manipulate or control or force anything, but because you're flowing with the fundamental laws of creation. The universe is set up to support service. Divine intelligence is always looking for clear channels through which it can pour its abundance to help and heal and bless the world. When you make yourself available as such a channel, when you dedicate your life to something larger than your own personal comfort and pleasure, then all the resources of creation begin to flow toward you. But here's the beautiful paradox. The more you focus on serving others, the more abundantly your own needs are met. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you help others prosper, the more you prosper yourself. This isn't karma in some distant future lifetime. This is the immediate practical result of aligning with the laws of abundance. Let me give you 3 specific practices that will transform your relationship with money and open the floodgates of prosperity in your life. These aren't just pretty ideas to think about. These are practical exercises that you can begin today, right now, in this moment. The first practice is the daily abundance blessing. Every morning before you touch any money, before you check your bank account, before you think about bills or expenses or income, take a moment to hold some currency in your hands. It doesn't matter if it's a dollar bill or $100 bill or just some coins. Hold it gently and say these words: Divine Mother, thank you for this energy of service. Bless this money to flow where it can do the most good. Help me to use all financial resources as tools for love and service. Feel the energy in the money as you say these words. Remember that this piece of paper or metal is crystallized divine intelligence, representing the work and service and creativity of countless people. Honor it, bless it. Send it out into the world with your prayers for its highest use. Then, every evening before you go to sleep, ask yourself this question: how did I use divine energy today to serve others? Review your financial transactions from the day. Did you spend money in ways that supported good businesses and honest work? Did you pay fair wages to those who served you? Did you give generously to causes you believe in? Did you invest in things that create value and beauty in the world? This simple practice will begin to transform money from something you unconsciously grab for and spend without thinking into something you consciously honor and circulate with intention. It will help you see every financial transaction as a spiritual act, every dollar as a sacred trust. The second practice is the flow meditation. Every day, find 5 minutes to sit quietly and close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths and relax your body completely. Now visualize abundance flowing through you like golden light, like liquid sunshine, like a river of liquid love. See this light entering through the top of your head, flowing down through your entire being, filling every cell with prosperity consciousness, then flowing out through your heart to bless the world around you. As you breathe in, silently say, I receive divine abundance with gratitude. As you breathe out, silently say, I share divine abundance with joy. See yourself not as a bucket trying to collect and hold as much abundance as possible, but as a clear, open channel through which divine prosperity flows freely. The more openly it flows through you, the more there is for everyone. You are not taking abundance away from others by receiving it. You are helping create more abundance for everyone by allowing it to circulate freely through you. This meditation will heal the scarcity consciousness that blocks so many people from receiving the abundance that is their birthright. It will help you understand viscerally that there is more than enough for everyone, that the universe is infinitely abundant, that your prosperity does not diminish anyone else's. The third practice is transforming every financial transaction into a prayer, every exchange of money into a moment of conscious communion with the divine. When you buy groceries, silently thank God for the abundance that allows you to nourish your body with healthy food. When you pay rent or mortgage, bless the home that shelters you and the people who built and maintain it. When you receive your paycheck, feel gratitude for the opportunity to serve and be fairly compensated for your contribution. When you give money to charity or help someone in need, feel the joy of being God's hands in the world, of being a channel through which divine love can flow in practical form. When you invest money, ask for guidance about how to use these resources to create more value and abundance for everyone involved. This practice will do something miraculous for your consciousness. It will heal the artificial separation between sacred and secular, between spiritual and material, between heaven and earth. You will begin to see that every moment is holy, every transaction is sacred, every exchange of value is an opportunity to participate consciously in the divine economy. These 3 practices alone, if done consistently with sincerity and faith, will completely transform your financial life within months. But there's something even deeper that I must share with you, something that goes to the very heart of why so many sincere spiritual seekers struggle with money. Most of you have been unconsciously trying to change the outside without healing the inside. You've been repeating affirmations about abundance while deep in your heart believing you don't deserve it. You've been visualizing prosperity while secretly feeling guilty about wanting material things. You've been trying to attract money while simultaneously pushing it away with unconscious beliefs and fears. All the techniques and methods and practices in the world cannot overcome a fundamental wound in your consciousness that says you are not worthy of abundance. All the positive thinking in the universe cannot flow through a heart that has been taught to fear prosperity as a spiritual danger. First, you must heal this wound. You must forgive yourself for being human, for having physical needs and desires, for wanting security and comfort and beautiful things. You must give yourself permission to prosper without guilt, to receive without shame, to enjoy abundance without fear that it makes you less spiritual. You must understand that God is not testing your faith through financial struggle. The divine is not trying to teach you lessons through lack and limitation. Your Creator, who made flowers and butterflies and sunsets and music, who filled the earth with incredible beauty and abundance, wants you to live abundantly too. Poverty is not a virtue. Struggle is not a requirement for spiritual growth. Financial stress does not bring you closer to God. These are human inventions, misunderstandings of spiritual truth that have caused untold suffering for sincere seekers throughout history. God wants you to have enough money to live with dignity, enough to feel secure and peaceful, enough to be generous with others, enough to create beauty and joy in your life and the lives of those you love, enough to pursue your highest purposes without constant worry about survival. This is not greed. This is not materialism. This is spiritual common sense. How can you serve God wholeheartedly if you're always worried about paying bills? How can you love others freely if you're stressed about your own needs? How can you follow your highest calling if you're trapped in jobs you hate just to make ends meet? Second, you must align your desires with purpose larger than personal comfort. Don't just ask for money for its own sake. Ask to be so useful, so valuable, so helpful to others that money flows to you naturally as compensation for the good you do in the world. Don't just visualize wealth in your bank account. Visualize the problems you could solve, the people you could help, the beauty you could create, the love you could share if you had abundant resources at your disposal. Don't just affirm that you are prosperous. Affirm that you are ready to be a wise steward of divine resources, a clear channel for abundance to flow to wherever it's needed most. This shift from wanting to get to wanting to give changes everything. It aligns you with the fundamental flow of the universe, which is always moving from love towards service, from abundance toward sharing, from blessing toward more blessing. Third, and this is perhaps the most challenging but also the most liberating, you must release attachment to outcomes while maintaining clear intention about what you desire. This seems contradictory, but it's the secret that unlocks true abundance. When you desperately need something, when you're attached to having it in a specific way at a specific time, you actually block it with the energy of your desperation. Desperation repels abundance. Neediness pushes away the very thing you're trying to attract. Anxiety about money creates more anxiety about money. But when you can want something without needing it desperately, when you can pray for something while being willing to accept whatever the divine wisdom decides is best for you, when you can work toward a goal while being at peace whether or not you achieve it exactly as you imagine it, then miracles begin to happen. True detachment is not indifference. True detachment is not giving up on your dreams or settling for less than you deserve. True detachment is loving surrender to divine will combined with wholehearted effort in alignment with your highest vision. It says, Divine Mother, I would love to have abundant financial resources so I can serve you more effectively in this world. I will work diligently, serve wholeheartedly, and use every gift and talent you have given me to create value for others. But I trust your wisdom completely about the timing and the form of the abundance you send to me. If you know I'm not ready for great wealth, I will serve joyfully with whatever you provide. If you have plans for me that require financial resources, I know you will make sure I have everything I need. This kind of surrender paradoxically opens all the doors that desperation and attachment keep locked. Because now you're not trying to force or control or manipulate outcomes. You're not attached to exactly how or when prosperity comes to you. You're simply available to receive whatever the divine knows is best for your highest good and greatest service. Let me tell you about Margaret, a student who came to me several years ago. She had been practicing abundance techniques for over a decade. She had vision boards and affirmations and meditation practices. She had read every book and attended every seminar about manifesting money. But her small business was failing, she was behind on her bills, and she was bitter and angry about spiritual teachings that promised prosperity but seemed to deliver only disappointment. I spent a long time listening to her story, hearing her frustration and pain. Then I asked her one simple question: "Margaret, why do you want more money?" Her answers came pouring out. "So I can stop worrying about bills every night. So I can feel successful instead of like a failure. So people will respect me and stop treating me like I'm incompetent. So I can prove to my family that I'm not a dreamer who wastes her life on spiritual nonsense. So I can show the universe that these principles actually work." Do you hear what was happening? Every single reason was about her ego, her fears, her need to prove something or escape something. There was no mention of service to others. No vision of how abundance could help her contribute to the world. No thought of how prosperity could be used to solve problems or create beauty or ease suffering for anyone but herself. Her entire focus was on what she could get, not on what she could give. Her energy was concentrated on healing her own wounds, not on how she could help heal others. She was trying to use spiritual principles to satisfy ego needs, and that's why they weren't working. I said to her, "Margaret, money is like water. It flows toward need, but it rushes toward purpose. Instead of focusing on what you want to get from the world, focus on what you want to give to the world. Instead of thinking about your problems, start thinking about problems you could solve for others if you had resources to work with." She looked at me with confusion and some resistance. "But Master," she said, "I've been struggling for so long. Don't I deserve to think about my own needs first? Don't I have a right to want security and comfort?" "Of course you do," I replied gently. "And the beautiful paradox is that the fastest way to get your needs met is to focus on meeting the needs of others. The surest path to your own prosperity is to become so valuable to other people that they gladly pay you for the benefits you provide." Margaret went home that night and completely changed her approach. Instead of meditating on having more money for herself, she began meditating on being more useful to others. Instead of visualizing wealth flowing into her life, she began visualizing the ways she could serve if abundance flowed through her. Instead of demanding that the universe give her what she wanted, she began asking how she could give the universe what it needed through her unique gifts and talents. She started researching the problems and challenges facing her potential clients. She developed new services that would genuinely help people solve their most pressing difficulties. She shifted her marketing message from focusing on her credentials and qualifications to focusing on the specific benefits and transformations she could create for others. Within 3 months, her business had more clients than she could handle. Within 6 months, she had to hire additional staff to meet the demand for her services. Within a year, she was earning more money than she had ever dreamed possible, and more importantly, she was deeply fulfilled by the positive impact she was making in people's lives. But the most beautiful part of Margaret's transformation was how it changed her relationship with money itself. She no longer saw it as something she had to chase or fight for or worry about. She understood it as the natural result of serving others well, as energy that flowed to her because she had become a valuable channel for solutions and healing. Money was no longer her master or her enemy. It was simply her partner in service, a tool that allowed her to expand her impact and help even more people live better lives. This is what I want for you, my dear friend. Not just more money in your bank account, though that will certainly come as you apply these principles. Not just financial security, though you will have that too. What I want for you is the deep peace that comes from understanding your true relationship with abundance, the joy that comes from being a clear channel for divine prosperity to flow through you to bless the world. When you understand money as crystallized divine energy, when you see your work as a form of service to God, when you approach every financial transaction as an opportunity to circulate love in practical form, then earning becomes a spiritual practice, spending becomes a form of prayer, and giving becomes a way of communing with the divine. You will wake up each morning excited to serve, knowing that the more value you create for others, the more abundantly your own needs will be met. You will go to sleep each night in gratitude, knowing that every dollar you earned and spent and saved and gave was part of your participation in the divine economy of love. This is not just a beautiful philosophy. This is a practical way of living that transforms everything. Your work becomes meaningful, your money becomes sacred, Your entire relationship with the material world becomes a pathway to deeper spiritual realization. But remember, my dear friend, with abundance comes responsibility. With prosperity comes the obligation to use your resources wisely. When money flows to you in greater measure, you become a steward of divine energy on behalf of all life. This doesn't mean you can't enjoy beautiful things, or live comfortably, or provide well for your family. God created beauty for us to appreciate. The divine wants his children to be happy and secure and surrounded by loveliness. There is nothing spiritual about unnecessary deprivation or joyless austerity. But it does mean that your prosperity should serve something larger than just your personal desires and pleasures. It means that as your abundance increases, so does your capacity and responsibility to help others, to solve problems, to create beauty and healing and joy in the world. Some of you might be thinking, but Master, I've tried to think positively about money and nothing has changed. I've repeated affirmations about abundance until I'm blue in the face and I'm still struggling financially. I've visualized prosperity and practiced gratitude and tried to align with spiritual principles, but my situation seems to get worse instead of better. What am I doing wrong? My beloved friend, you are not doing anything wrong, but you might be trying to change the outside without transforming the inside. You might be working on techniques and methods, while deeper beliefs and fears continue to sabotage your efforts. Let me ask you some questions, and I want you to answer honestly from your heart. Do you truly believe you deserve to be financially abundant? Not just intellectually, but in the depths of your soul? Or is there a part of you that feels guilty about wanting money, that thinks good people shouldn't care about material things? Do you really trust that there's enough abundance for everyone? Or do you secretly believe that if you have more, someone else will have less? Do you genuinely see money as divine energy? Or do you still think of it as something dirty or corrupt that spiritual people should avoid? These deeper beliefs and fears are like weeds in the garden of your consciousness. You can plant all the seeds of positive thoughts you want, but if you don't remove the weeds, they will choke out everything you're trying to grow. The first step is to become aware of these limiting beliefs. Notice when you feel guilty about wanting money. Pay attention to the voice in your head that says you don't deserve abundance. Observe the fear that comes up when you think about having more wealth. These are not your true thoughts. These are programming you receive from a society that has forgotten the sacred nature of prosperity. Once you become aware of these limiting beliefs, you can begin to heal them with love and understanding. Don't fight them or judge yourself for having them. Simply acknowledge them and then gently replace them with truth. When you notice guilt about wanting money, remind yourself that God wants you to have all the resources you need to serve beautifully in this world. When you catch yourself thinking you don't deserve abundance, remember that you are a beloved child of the divine, worthy of all good things. When fear arises about having wealth, focus on all the ways you could use prosperity to help others and create positive change. This inner work is just as important as any external techniques or practices. In fact, it's more important, because once your consciousness is clear, once your heart is aligned with truth, abundance will flow to you as naturally as rivers flow to the sea. Let me share with you one more story about a woman named Sarah who came to me in desperation several years ago. She had been studying metaphysical principles for 15 years. She knew all the theories about manifestation and abundance. She had tried every technique and method and system that promised to unlock prosperity, but her financial situation was getting worse instead of better. She was a gifted healer with remarkable abilities to help people overcome physical and emotional challenges. Her clients experienced miraculous transformations working with her, but she could barely pay her bills. She lived in a tiny apartment, drove an old car that constantly broke down, and often had to choose between buying groceries or paying utilities. Sarah was angry when she came to see me. Angry at God, angry at the universe, angry at all the spiritual teachers who promised abundance but seemed to deliver only disappointment. She felt like she was being punished for trying to help people, like the universe was testing her faith by keeping her in poverty. I listened to her story with deep compassion. Then I asked her the same question I had asked Margaret. Sarah, why do you want more money? Her answers were similar to Margaret's, but even more desperate. So I can stop lying awake at night worrying about bills. So I can afford to take care of my health instead of ignoring problems I can't afford to treat. So I can help my aging parents instead of feeling guilty that I can't support them. So I can prove that spiritual principles actually work instead of feeling like a fraud teaching abundance while living in lack. But then she said something that revealed the deeper issue. Master, I don't understand why God is doing this to me. I've devoted my entire life to helping others heal and find happiness. I've sacrificed everything for my spiritual path. Why am I being punished with poverty? Why do selfish, materialistic people have so much money while I, who am trying to serve the divine, have so little? Do you hear the victim consciousness in her words? Do you hear the belief that she was being punished? That poverty was something being done to her rather than something she was unconsciously creating? Do you hear the resentment and judgment toward people who had more money than she did? Sarah had fallen into one of the most common traps for spiritual seekers. She had unconsciously adopted a martyr complex, believing that suffering somehow made her more spiritual. That struggle was proof of her devotion. That poverty was the price she had to pay for serving God. But there was something even deeper. In her heart, Sarah didn't really believe she was worthy of abundance. Despite all her spiritual study and healing abilities, she still saw herself as fundamentally flawed, somehow not good enough to deserve prosperity. Poverty was not punishment from God. It was self-punishment arising from deep feelings of unworthiness that she had carried since childhood. I spent many sessions with Sarah, gently helping her uncover and heal these wounded beliefs about herself and her relationship with abundance. We worked on forgiving her parents for messages they had given her about money being evil and spiritual people being poor. We worked on releasing her need to prove her worthiness through suffering. We worked on understanding that God's love for her was unconditional, not dependent on how much she struggled or sacrificed. Most importantly, we worked on shifting her focus from what she felt she deserved to what she could contribute. Instead of feeling sorry for herself, she began to feel excited about the greater impact she could make if she had more resources. Instead of resenting wealthy people, she began to study how successful healers and teachers had built sustainable, prosperous practices that allowed them to help more people. Sarah also had to confront her unconscious belief that charging fairly for her healing services was somehow unspiritual. She had been undervaluing her work, charging barely enough to cover her expenses, believing that this made her more pure and selfless. But what it really did was create a constant state of financial stress that limited her ability to serve at her highest level. I helped her understand that when she didn't charge appropriately for her valuable services, she was actually being selfish, not selfless. She was depriving her clients of the opportunity to invest properly in their own healing. She was making it harder for other healers to charge fair prices because she was setting artificially low standards. And she was limiting her own ability to serve because she couldn't afford to take care of herself, upgrade her skills, or expand her practice. The transformation in Sarah's life was remarkable. As she healed her relationship with money and began to see her prosperity as a tool for greater service, everything changed. She raised her prices to reflect the true value she provided. She invested in better training and professional development. She moved to a more accessible location and created a healing center that could accommodate more clients. Within 2 years, Sarah had built one of the most successful healing practices in her city. She was earning more money than she had ever imagined possible, but more importantly, she was helping hundreds of people each month instead of just a handful. She was able to offer scholarships to those who couldn't afford her full fees. She created jobs for other healers and support staff. She donated generously to causes she believed in. Sarah's story illustrates one of the most important principles of spiritual prosperity. Your abundance is not separate from your service. The more prosperously you live, the more capacity you have to help others live prosperously too. The more financial resources flow through your life, the more you can share with those who need help. The more successful your work becomes, the more people you can serve and the greater positive impact you can make in the world. This is why poverty is not spiritual. This is why financial struggle is not a pathway to enlightenment. This is why lack and limitations serve no one, not even God. When you prosper, everyone around you benefits. When you thrive, you create opportunities for others to thrive. When you live abundantly, you demonstrate that abundance is possible for everyone. Now, let me give you some specific guidance about how to begin transforming your relationship with money immediately, starting today, right now in this moment. First, I want you to examine your current beliefs about money and wealthy people. Be completely honest with yourself. Do you have judgments about people who have a lot of money? Do you think they must be greedy or selfish or spiritually shallow? Do you unconsciously believe that money corrupts people, or that you have to choose between being rich and being good? If you discover these kinds of limiting beliefs, don't judge yourself for having them. Almost everyone in our culture has been programmed with negative ideas about money and wealthy people. Instead, gently begin to replace these beliefs with more truthful and empowering perspectives. Start looking for examples of wealthy people who use their abundance to serve others and make the world better. Study successful individuals who have maintained their integrity and compassion while building prosperity. Read biographies of entrepreneurs and philanthropists who have created value for millions of people while accumulating significant wealth. As you do this research, you'll begin to see that money itself is neutral. It amplifies whatever consciousness the person who has it brings to it. In the hands of someone with a small, selfish heart, money becomes a tool for small, selfish purposes. In the hands of someone with an expanded, loving heart, money becomes a tool for expanded, loving service. Second, begin to bless money every time you encounter it. When you pay for something, silently thank the money for facilitating this exchange of value. When you receive payment for work or services, bless the money and ask that it be used wisely. When you see money in any form, remember that it represents the crystallized energy of human creativity, service, and exchange. This practice will gradually shift your subconscious relationship with money from fear or indifference to reverence and appreciation. You'll begin to see currency not as something to be grabbed or avoided, but as something to be honored as a tool that makes civilization possible. Third, start thinking about your work differently. Instead of seeing your job or business as something you do to get money, begin to see it as something you do to serve others while receiving fair compensation for the value you provide. Ask yourself how you can increase the value you offer. How can you help your customers, clients, or employers more effectively? How can you solve bigger problems or create greater benefits? When you focus on increasing your value to others, increased compensation becomes a natural result. When you concentrate on serving more people or serving them better, more money flows to you automatically. This is not manipulation or technique. This is simply aligning with the natural laws that govern exchange and prosperity. Fourth, begin to practice conscious spending. Before you buy anything, ask yourself whether this purchase aligns with your values and supports your highest good. Are you buying this item out of genuine need or appreciation, or are you shopping to fill an emotional void? Are you supporting businesses that operate with integrity and contribute positively to the world? When you spend money consciously, every purchase becomes a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. When you invest your resources thoughtfully, you help create a more ethical and sustainable economy. When you buy beautiful, high-quality things that genuinely enhance your life, you participate in the circulation of abundance rather than the accumulation of clutter. Fifth, commit to generous giving as a regular practice, not just when you have extra money, but as a fundamental part of your financial plan. This doesn't mean giving away money you need for basic necessities. It means including generosity as one of your regular expenses, just like rent or food or utilities. Start with whatever amount feels comfortable, even if it's just a few dollars a month. The amount is less important than the consistency and the consciousness you bring to it. Give to causes you believe in, to people who are serving others, to organizations that are making a positive difference in the world. As you practice regular giving, you'll discover something wonderful. Your capacity to give will gradually expand. Your income will tend to increase to support your generosity. And you'll experience the deep joy that comes from being a channel for abundance to flow to where it's needed most. But most importantly, cultivate gratitude for whatever level of abundance you currently have in your life. Even if you're struggling financially, even if you have less money than you need or want, you still have more than billions of people around the world. You have access to clean water, nutritious food, safe shelter, medical care, education, and opportunities that would be considered miraculous luxuries by most people throughout history. This is not about feeling guilty for wanting more. This is about recognizing the foundation of abundance that already exists in your life. Gratitude for what you have creates the energetic foundation for receiving more. Appreciation for your current blessings opens your heart to notice and receive additional blessings. Every morning when you wake up, before your feet touch the floor, spend a moment appreciating something wonderful in your life. Every evening before you go to sleep, recall at least 3 things that went well during the day. This simple practice will gradually shift your consciousness from focusing on what's missing to recognizing what's present, from scarcity awareness to abundance awareness. As you implement these practices consistently, you'll begin to notice changes in your external circumstances. Opportunities will appear that weren't there before. People will offer you resources, connections, or assistance. Your income may increase through raises, bonuses, new clients, or unexpected sources. Your expenses may decrease as you make wiser choices and receive unexpected savings or discounts. But even more importantly, you'll notice changes in your internal experience. You'll feel more peaceful about money. You'll worry less about financial security. You'll enjoy the abundance you have more fully. You'll give more generously and receive more gracefully. You'll see money as a friend and ally rather than as a source of stress or conflict. This inner transformation is the real goal, the true prize. When you have a healthy, harmonious relationship with money, you'll naturally have more of it. When you see prosperity as a tool for service rather than a source of identity or security, abundance becomes effortless. When you understand that you are not separate from the infinite resources of the universe, you stop trying to hoard or accumulate and start allowing the natural flow of divine provision to support you abundantly. Remember this above all, my dear friend. You are not choosing between God and money. You are not choosing between spirituality and prosperity. You are not choosing between serving others and taking care of yourself. These are false choices created by misunderstanding the true nature of abundance. You are choosing between fear and love, between scarcity and abundance, between rejecting divine gifts and embracing them with gratitude. You are choosing between seeing yourself as separate from the source of all prosperity and recognizing yourself as an expression of that infinite abundance. You are choosing between trying to control and manipulate the flow of resources and trusting in divine provision while taking inspired action. Money that is rejected becomes your master through its absence, controlling your thoughts and emotions and choices through lack and limitation. Money that is feared becomes your enemy, creating stress and anxiety and separation from your spiritual practice. But money that is blessed, honored, and circulated with wisdom becomes your servant in divine service, a tool that helps you express love in practical ways. Right now, in this moment, place your hand on your heart and feel the love that created you, the infinite intelligence that sustains you, the abundant source from which all good things flow. Feel yourself connected to this source, not as someone begging for help from outside, but as someone remembering your true nature as an expression of divine abundance. Repeat these words with me and feel their truth resonating in every cell of your being. Divine Mother, I now understand that my prosperity is your prosperity flowing through me. My abundance serves your love in this world. I am a clear channel for your infinite supply, receiving with gratitude, giving with joy, and knowing that in this sacred circulation, all needs are met, all purposes fulfilled, all souls blessed throughout eternity. Feel these words healing the ancient wound that separated spirit from substance in your consciousness. Feel them opening the channels through which divine abundance has always been trying to reach you. Feel them aligning you with the natural flow of prosperity that is your spiritual birthright as a child of the infinitely abundant Creator. From this moment forward, remember that every time you earn money, you are being divinely compensated for service rendered. Every time you spend money, you are participating in the circulation of crystallized divine energy. Every time you give money, you are being God's hands in the world, sharing abundance with those who need it. Every time you save or invest money, you are stewarding divine resources for future service and security. Your relationship with money is your relationship with one aspect of God's creation. When that relationship is healed, harmonious, and guided by love, it becomes a pathway to deeper spiritual realization, greater capacity for service, and more profound joy in living. If this teaching has touched your heart, my friend, if it has brought you clarity and hope about your relationship with abundance, please subscribe to this channel to receive more wisdom that bridges the spiritual and material worlds. We need more people who understand that prosperity and spirituality are dance partners, not enemies. We need more souls who see money as divine energy to be circulated with love rather than crystallized fear to be hoarded or rejected. Like this video, if it has resonated with your heart, if it has helped you see money and abundance in a new light, your likes help more people discover this message. And there are millions of sincere spiritual seekers who need to hear that they don't have to choose between serving God and living prosperously. Most importantly, leave a comment below sharing one specific way you're going to begin blessing abundance in your life today. Maybe you'll start the daily money blessing practice. Maybe you'll examine and release limiting beliefs about wealthy people. Maybe you'll raise your prices to better reflect the value you provide. Maybe you'll begin giving regularly to causes you believe in. Whatever step calls to your heart, share it in the comments and inspire others with your commitment to healing your relationship with prosperity. Remember, when you transform your relationship with money, you don't just change your bank account balance. You change your capacity to serve divine love in practical ways. You change your ability to help others prosper. You change your power to create positive change in the world. You become a demonstration that spirituality and prosperity can flow together in perfect harmony, inspiring others to heal their own wounds around abundance. Until we meet again in the light of divine wisdom, may you walk in abundance that serves love, work in prosperity that expresses your highest gifts, give from overflow rather than sacrifice, and receive from divine grace the infinite resources you need to fulfill your sacred purpose in this world. May every dollar you earn be blessed, every dollar you spend be wisely invested, every dollar you give create miracles, and every dollar you save multiply into greater opportunities for service. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace in the body, mind, peace in the soul, and abundant peace in your relationship with all of God's gifts, including the gift of money that allows love to circulate in practical form throughout our beautiful world. Beloved, the world will tell you that marriage is an agreement of convenience, a partnership of shared resources, or a bond built only on affection and compatibility. But the soul knows otherwise. In truth, the sacred union between you and your wife is not simply the meeting of two human wills, it is the weaving together of destinies under the watchful eye of the divine. When you stood before her, whether in a temple, a humble room, or under the open sky, you were also standing before God, whose silent blessing was being poured into that moment. The vows you exchanged were not mere words for this lifetime alone. They were the latest chapter in a story that has been unfolding for lifetimes. Your wife is not simply a person who shares your home and your days. She is the echo of your past, the mirror of your soul's strengths and weaknesses, and a chosen channel through which God's grace can flow into your life. This understanding changes everything. When you see her only through the lens of the world, you will measure her by comfort, by convenience, by how well she matches your preferences. But when you see her through the eyes of spirit, you will begin to understand that she stands beside you not only to share in your joys, but to walk with you through the refining fires that burn away the dross of ego and awaken the gold of the soul. Imagine that at the altar, in whatever sacred moment your union began, there were not only two of you present, but three: you, your wife, and God. He was the unseen witness, the one who bound your hands together with threads of karmic duty, mutual growth, and divine purpose. In his plan, your marriage is not an isolated event but part of a greater design meant to lift you from the small orbit of self into the wide embrace of selfless love. In this light, every glance, every word, every shared silence between you becomes more than a moment in time. It becomes a stepping stone toward God. Even the challenges take on a holy shape, for they are not interruptions to your spiritual path but part of the very path itself. The questions that trouble you, the differences that challenge you, the acts of kindness that surprise you, each is a lesson arranged by the divine teacher who walks between you. This is why I say, beloved, your wife is not just your companion in this life. She is the living thread that connects you to where you have been, the living mirror that reveals where you must grow, and the living channel through which grace may flow. To see her this way is to begin to walk in the higher understanding of marriage not as a contract, but as a covenant. And to walk in that covenant is to prepare yourself to see her not only as she is now, but as she has been to you across the corridors of time. To understand that, we must first step back into the realm of the past. Beloved, the bond you share with your wife did not begin with your first meeting in this life, nor with the vows you spoke, nor even with the earliest days of your courtship. The connection between two souls who find themselves joined in marriage often stretches far beyond the veil of this present incarnation, reaching back into lifetimes long forgotten by the mind, but not erased from the ledger of the soul. Many of the qualities you now see in her, those that comfort you and those that challenge you, are threads woven from past experiences together. Yogananda taught that close human ties are often karmic continuations, born of promises kept or broken, debts repaid or still owing, virtues practiced together or lessons left incomplete. Imagine a tapestry, beloved, not hanging still upon a wall, but growing and changing over centuries. Each lifetime is a new layer of color, a new set of patterns added to the weave. Some strands are bright with joy, shared service, and the sweetness of mutual understanding. Others are darker, carrying the imprint of pain, misunderstanding, or harm done either by you to her, by her to you, or by circumstances that tested you both. When you meet again in this life, it is not by random chance. It is the divine weaver bringing the loom once more into motion, offering you both the opportunity to complete what was left undone, to harmonize the dissonant notes still lingering in the music of your shared journey. In this way, your wife is your past not as a burden to chain you, but as a bridge to free you. She carries within her presence the keys to certain locked chambers in your soul. Some will open to reveal treasures you once shared: deep affection, trust, a sense of safety in each other's presence. Others will open to reveal the dust of unfinished lessons, the places where patience, humility, or forgiveness were lacking. Both kinds of rooms must be entered, for it is through the whole truth, not only the pleasant memories, that liberation comes. When you begin to see her in this way, the challenges that arise between you lose some of their sting, for you understand they are not punishments but invitations. That disagreement over a small matter may be the resurfacing of an old wound, now brought back not to injure but to heal. That difference in temperament may be the soul's way of learning balance, stretching beyond its own preferences to embrace another's way of being. Even her faults, as you perceive them, can be mirrors reminding you of flaws in yourself that you have yet to conquer, or revealing virtues like compassion and patience that are waiting to be awakened in you. To honor your wife as the embodiment of your karmic past is to accept her whole, and not only the parts that delight you, but also the parts that demand your growth. It is to look into her eyes and say inwardly, "I recognize you. We have walked before. We have unfinished work, and by God's grace, we will finish it now." This recognition is not meant to trap you in the past, but to give you the courage to face it fully, so that together you may step into a freer and more luminous future. And yet, beloved, the past alone is not the whole of her role, for the past inevitably steps into the present, and in the present, she becomes your test. Beloved, to say that your wife is your test is not to cast her in the role of an adversary, nor to imagine that she has been placed in your life to hinder your joy. Rather, it is to acknowledge that in the divine school of life, the most effective lessons are often given through those closest to us, those whose presence touches every layer of our being. A test is not meant to destroy the student, it is meant to reveal what has been learned and what remains to be mastered. So it is in marriage. Your wife's presence will inevitably bring to the surface both your virtues and your shortcomings, offering you daily opportunities to refine the gold of your soul. Think of a furnace where raw gold is purified. The fire does not create the gold, nor does it invent the impurities. It simply makes them visible and separates them so that only the pure remains. In the same way, the interactions between you and your wife, both in moments of harmony and in moments of friction, act as the purifying fire. Her words, her actions, her needs, and even her silences can draw out of you patience you did not know you possessed, or reveal impatience you thought you had already conquered. She may call forth your compassion, your strength, your humility, or at times, your defensiveness, your pride, your quickness to judge. Each moment is a question posed by life. Will you answer with the voice of the soul, or with the reflex of the ego? This is why the tests that come through your wife must be received as sacred. When irritation arises, pause before letting the tongue speak. Ask instead, why has this moment come to me? What is God showing me about myself? When disagreement flares, see it not as a battle to win, but as a mirror reflecting your own attachments. Even in times of deep hurt or misunderstanding, the test is not merely about her actions, it is about your capacity to respond with dignity, truth, and love. Do not think that these tests are one-sided. She too is being refined through your presence. You are her mirror, her catalyst, her spiritual training ground, just as she is yours. The sacredness lies in the mutuality of this process. Two souls walking side by side through the fire, each one shaping the other, each one learning how to love more selflessly and more truly. When you embrace the fact that your wife is your test, you begin to see even your struggles as holy ground. You understand that God, in His infinite wisdom, has entrusted you with a living curriculum tailored perfectly to your soul's growth. There is no need to search elsewhere for the path. Your path is here, in the love, the challenges, the daily exchanges with the one who has been given to you as both companion and instructor. Yet even in the midst of these tests, there is another dimension to her role. that softens the fire and makes the burden light. For if she is your past and your test, she is also, and perhaps most beautifully, your grace. Beloved, grace is the gentle rain that falls even upon the hardened soil, the unexpected warmth that enters a cold room without knocking. When I say that your wife is your grace, I mean that she is a vessel through which God's own tenderness and mercy may flow into your life. This grace is not always wrapped in sweetness. Sometimes it comes disguised as challenge, for even correction can be a form of compassion when it is aimed at lifting the soul higher. But often, grace flows in ways so quiet that you may overlook them: the meal prepared when you are weary, the small act of understanding when you have failed, the simple presence beside you in a moment of pain. Grace is the mystery that allows you to receive more than you deserve, to be loved in ways you have not earned. Through your wife, you may experience a love that forgives your rough edges, that believes in your potential even when you doubt yourself. She may see in you the light that you forget, and by her encouragement or her steadfastness, she may help you rise above your lesser self. When she comforts you in grief, celebrates with you in joy, or stands by you in uncertainty, she is offering you the compassion of the divine in human form. Consider the image of a river flowing through a specific channel. The river is God's love, pure, abundant, unceasing. The channel is your wife's presence, unique in shape, carved by her own journey, her own soul's qualities. Without the channel, the river might flow elsewhere. Without the river, the channel would be dry. Together, they allow the water to reach you in a way that is personal, intimate, and sustaining. You may drink from that river in times of thirst, be cleansed by it in times of impurity, and be carried by it in times when your strength alone is not enough. Yet this grace is not given to make you dependent on her in the way a child depends on a parent. It is given to teach you the nature of divine love so that you may, in turn, become a channel of grace yourself. As you receive from her, you are meant to give back, not as payment, for grace cannot be bought, but as an offering of gratitude and reciprocity. In this way, the flow between you becomes circular, each one replenishing the other, both sustained by the same divine source. When you begin to see your wife as grace, your heart will soften toward her, even in moments of difficulty. You will remember that beneath the surface of every interaction is the enduring truth that she has been entrusted to you not only as a test or a karmic link, but as a living reminder that God's mercy is near, tangible, and active in your life. And when you hold all three truths together, that she is your past, your test, and your grace, you will find the courage to live your marriage not in fear or resentment, but in reverence, embracing each day as an opportunity to deepen your union with her and, through her, with the infinite beloved. Beloved, fear is the shadow that distorts the face of love. In marriage, it often hides behind resentment, avoidance, or the quiet hardening of the heart. To dissolve fear is to reclaim the purity of the bond God has entrusted to you. Resentment is nothing more than the ego recoiling from the lesson that the divine is offering through your spouse. It says, "I should not have to face this. I deserve only ease." But ease does not refine the soul. Only the meeting of life's challenges with openness and grace can do that. When fear of conflict takes root, it closes the door to intimacy. You begin to walk carefully, as though on a frozen lake, avoiding certain conversations, withdrawing from the possibility of misunderstanding. But beloved, avoiding the light because it reveals the dust in the room will not make the dust disappear. It will only leave you dwelling in darkness. The discomfort you resist may be the very sunlight meant to cleanse your inner chambers. The soul's journey in marriage is not to live without differences, but to approach those differences without the armor of fear. If your wife speaks a truth that unsettles you, ask whether it might be God's voice reaching you through her lips. If her actions press against your comfort, consider whether they might be designed to stretch your compassion or humility. In this way, you begin to see that nothing she brings into your shared life is meaningless. All has been allowed by the divine teacher for your growth. Release the idea that fear protects you. Fear constricts the heart, narrows the mind, and blinds the vision of the soul. The love that once flowed easily begins to trickle, dammed up by the belief that safety lies in control. True safety lies only in surrender to God, to the truth of the moment, to the willingness to be reshaped by love. When you dissolve fear, your wife is no longer a potential threat to your comfort but a constant opportunity for communion with her. and through her, with God. You begin to listen not with suspicion, but with curiosity. You respond not with defensiveness, but with a desire to understand. And in this posture, even the sharpest disagreements become doors, not walls, doors that open to a deeper knowing of each other's hearts and of the one who united you. Beloved, when the shadow of fear is lifted, what remains is the light of courage. And courage is the bridge that carries you from the awareness of your marriage's sacred purpose into the daily practice of living it. Let us now cross that bridge together. Beloved, courage in marriage is not the absence of challenge, nor is it the constant assertion of one's own will. It is the quiet, steady willingness to remain present in love even when the waves rise high and the winds blow cold. The law of divine courage calls you to meet every moment with the awareness that it has been sent for your soul's training. It asks you to walk into the very situations your ego would prefer to avoid, not recklessly, but with the steadfastness of one who knows that the infinite stands beside them in every step. When a disagreement emerges, the untrained mind seeks to defend, to prove, to prevail. But divine courage chooses a different course. It seeks to understand. To stand calmly in the midst of conflict is not weakness. It is strength under the mastery of spirit. This requires that you anchor yourself in prayer not as a weapon to win the argument, but as a sanctuary in which you can hear God's guidance before you speak. Even a breath offered to the divine in such a moment can redirect the current of the conversation, allowing words to flow from the heart rather than from the wounds of pride. There will be times when speaking truth in love will require you to step beyond the boundaries of comfort. Divine courage does not mean agreeing to all things in silence. It means speaking with a voice rooted in kindness, refusing to let fear, bitterness, or the desire to dominate shape your tone. A sailor navigating in stormy seas does not curse the wind. He reads the stars, sets his course, and trusts his vessel. In the same way, you must learn to navigate the storms of misunderstanding by orienting yourself toward the fixed point of divine love, adjusting your sails through patience, humility, and an unwavering focus on unity. Hold this thought close in every trial. This moment is my soul's training. When the mind clings to this awareness, nothing is wasted, not a disagreement, not a disappointment, not even a season of difficulty. Everything becomes material for the building of your inner temple. You begin to see that the very situations you once dreaded are the stepping stones upon which your soul will climb toward freedom. Beloved, courage in marriage is the discipline of choosing the higher path again and again, even when the lower path is easier. It is trusting God's wisdom in bringing you together with your wife, believing that the same divine intelligence that united you will also guide you through every challenge. And as courage grows, it naturally seeks expression not only in thoughts and intentions, but in concrete acts that keep the sacred bond alive. This is the movement from courage into action, where the lessons of the heart take shape in the practice of daily living. Beloved, courage that remains only as a noble thought is like a seed kept in a drawer. It holds potential, but it bears no fruit. Action is the soil in which courage takes root, grows, and blossoms into transformation. In the sacred discipline of marriage, action is not merely the grand gesture offered once in a while. It is the quiet, consistent tending to the bond, the daily choice to keep the flame alive. Your marriage is a living altar, and like any altar, it requires care offerings placed upon it regularly, and the fire kept burning so that it may continue to give light and warmth. Daily spiritual practice is one such act of tending. Whether you and your wife meditate side by side or in separate moments of the day, the shared intention to turn toward God creates a subtle but unbreakable thread between your souls. When both of you begin the day by stilling the mind, lifting the gaze, and offering your hearts upward, you set the vibration of the home to a higher key. Even if no words are exchanged about it, your spirits are attuning together to the same divine frequency, and that harmony spills over into your interactions. Acts of service are another form of sacred action. These need not be elaborate. They may be as simple as offering to help with a task she dreads, preparing something that will bring her comfort, or taking on a responsibility so that she may rest. When done consciously, these are not chores but offerings placed at the feet of the divine who dwells in her. In this way, the mundane becomes holy, and the simplest acts become channels for love to flow. Then there is the discipline of conscious listening, a skill, as rare as it is transformative. To listen without interrupting, without planning your response, without judgment, is to give your wife the gift of your undivided presence. It tells her that she is seen and valued, not merely as a partner in life's logistics, but as a soul worthy of reverence. In that listening, you may hear more than her words. You may hear the echoes of her heart, the whispers of her own relationship with the divine, the places where she, too, is longing for grace and understanding. Like tending a sacred fire, these actions require regular attention. You cannot throw fuel upon a flame only once and expect it to burn without tending. Neglect allows embers to cool. Care keeps them alive. The discipline of sacred action in marriage is not burdensome. When approached with devotion, it becomes a joy, a meditation in motion, a way of keeping God at the center of your shared life. And as you persist in these actions, a change begins to take place within you. You find that your confidence in the marriage deepens, not a brittle confidence dependent on circumstances, but a steady assurance rooted in the knowledge that you and your wife are walking together in a union designed and sustained by God Himself. This is the confidence we must now explore, for it is both the fruit of sacred action and the anchor that steadies you in all seasons. Beloved, spiritual confidence in marriage is not born of perfection, nor does it come from the absence of storms. Rather, it grows from the deep assurance that the very bond you share with your wife is part of a divine design crafted by a wisdom greater than your own and sustained by a love that cannot be broken by time or trial. When you accept her threefold role as your past, your test, and your grace, you stop resisting the reality of what is and begin embracing it as the precise soil in which your soul is meant to bloom. This acceptance is not resignation. It is the profound peace that arises when you trust the hand of the sculptor, even when the chisel strikes hard. To see your wife as karmic grace is to understand that her presence is not an accident or a coincidence, but a deliberate gift from God. Her strengths are given to inspire and uplift you. Her weaknesses, as you perceive them, are given to awaken your compassion and patience. Each joy you share strengthens your gratitude. Each difficulty you endure together strengthens your character. In this way, nothing is wasted. Everything becomes a thread in the weaving of your spiritual destiny. Trusting God's wisdom in pairing you with her frees you from the restless temptation to imagine what might have been, or to compare your marriage to another's. You come to see that the very traits and circumstances you might once have wished away are often the ones shaping you into a truer, humbler, more loving being. Just as a sculptor sees the statue within the stone long before the final form is revealed, so God sees in you the qualities that marriage will carve forth. Each gentle caress of the chisel and each firm strike are both guided by the same vision to reveal the beauty hidden within. This confidence does not make you passive. It strengthens your resolve to participate in the divine plan with both devotion and responsibility. You no longer see your wife as an obstacle to your spiritual progress, but as your fellow traveler on the road to God. When trials arise, you remember that the one who set you on this path together will also provide the strength to walk it. When blessings come, you share them with gratitude, knowing they are signs of the grace that flows through her as much as through you. And so you walk with a quiet dignity, neither puffed up in pride during easy days nor crushed by despair in difficult ones. Your faith in God's purpose becomes the anchor that steadies you both, and this faith radiates as a calm confidence that your marriage, with all its colors, is the exact canvas on which the divine artist wishes to paint the masterpiece of your shared life. From this assurance flows the desire to sustain and deepen the bond through small, daily acts of bravery habits that keep love alive and the soul alert to God's presence in the marriage. Beloved, the strength of your marriage is not forged in grand declarations or rare moments of heroism alone. It is built day by day through small, consistent acts of inner bravery. These practices are like seeds planted in the garden of your union, each one carrying within it the potential to bear fruit that will nourish both your souls. To begin the day with prayer for your wife's happiness and spiritual growth is to place the morning sun over that garden, bathing it in warmth before any shadows of the day can fall. In those first quiet moments, lift your thoughts beyond yourself, offering her well-being to God as though placing a precious jewel upon His altar. Such prayers soften the heart, align your will with divine love, and remind you that your role is not only to receive from her, but to help her soul flourish. When moments of disagreement arise, as they will in every human bond, the practice of pausing to breathe and inwardly repeat a divine name is a form of courage. It takes far more strength to still the tongue than to unleash it in the heat of emotion. In that pause, you allow space for God to speak to your heart before you speak to hers. You remember that the goal is not to win the argument, but to preserve the sacredness of the connection. That one deep, conscious breath can be the bridge between misunderstanding and reconciliation, between injury and healing. And at the close of the day, to end with gratitude for at least one quality you noticed in her is to gather the day's blossoms before nightfall. Even in the hardest of days, there is always something, a gesture of kindness, a shared smile, a moment of partnership that can be lifted up in thanks. To voice that gratitude, whether aloud to her or silently to God, is to water the roots of love. Gratitude has a mysterious power. It magnifies what is good. It quiets the mind's restless search for faults, and it turns the heart toward the giver of all blessings. These daily inner bravery practices may seem small, but their cumulative power is immense. Like planting seeds in the morning, watering them at midday, and blessing them at night, they create a rhythm of mindfulness and devotion that protects the marriage from the drought of neglect. Over time, they train both heart and mind to respond to each other with reverence, even in the face of imperfection. Beloved, when these practices take root in your life, they transform the ordinary fabric of married days into a tapestry of spiritual discipline. The home becomes a sanctuary where both of you are students and teachers to each other, where God is not an occasional guest, but the constant, unseen resident. And in this sanctified atmosphere, every moment, whether joyful or challenging, becomes part of the great experiment of turning human love into divine love. This is the marriage as a spiritual laboratory, the holy place where the alchemy of transformation unfolds. Beloved, to see your marriage as a spiritual laboratory is to recognize that every interaction, every exchange, every shared silence is part of a living experiment in the transmutation of the soul. In this sacred space, the base metals of ego, pride, impatience, resentment are placed into the crucible of daily life, alongside the pure gold of kindness, patience, and understanding. The heat of trials and the pressure of shared responsibility work together to melt away the impurities and bring forth the essence of divine love. Your wife, in this laboratory, is not merely a partner in worldly matters. She is your co-alchemist. Together you are tasked with the holy work of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, the fleeting into the eternal. Every disagreement becomes an opportunity to test the strength of your compassion. Every act of selflessness, however small, is like adding a rare and potent element into the mixone that changes the entire composition of the relationship. Even the mistakes and failures have their place here, for they are not final verdicts but necessary reagents that reveal what is still unfinished in the soul's work. This laboratory is unlike any other because its experiments are conducted not in isolation but in the living field of the heart. Here, there are no sterile conditions, only the raw and vibrant reality of two lives intertwined. And because God is the overseeing master of this experiment, nothing is wasted. The moments that seem most painful may, in time, prove to have been the ones that catalyzed the deepest transformation. The moments that seem trivial may, in fact, hold the seeds of great spiritual harvests. The discipline required in this laboratory is not the rigid discipline of the mind alone, but the supple discipline of the heart, willing to bend without breaking, willing to yield without losing its strength. You learn to adjust the flame when tempers grow too hot, to stir gently when silence threatens to separate you, to add the ingredient of humor when the mixture grows too heavy. Over the years, you begin to see that the most important result of all this careful work is not a marriage without flaws, but a marriage in which flaws are embraced as part of the process, and love is continually purified. Beloved, in such a marriage, the ego gradually dissolves, and what remains is a partnership rooted in the awareness that you are both students in the same divine classroom, both apprentices in the same holy workshop. And as the lessons deepen, the experiments yield their greatest fruit, the realization that your love for each other is but a reflection of God's love for you both. This realization is the highest result the laboratory can produce, and it leads us naturally into the final blessing of seeing marriage as the path of union, not only with one another, but with the infinite beloved who called you together from the beginning. Beloved, as we arrive at the closing steps of this journey, let us lift our vision beyond the personal and into the eternal. Marriage, when lived in the light of God's wisdom, is not merely a bond between two souls for the span of a single lifetime, it is a sacred pilgrimage, a mutual ascent toward the source from which you both came. The imperfections, the joys, the trials, and the triumphs you have shared are not random chapters. They are purposeful waypoints on the path to union with the infinite. When you walk with this awareness, your wife becomes not just the companion of your days, but the fellow pilgrim of your destiny, each of you carrying the other closer to the summit. Growth in such a union may be slow at times, and the progress may not always be visible. There will be seasons when you feel as though you are circling the same mountain, learning the same lesson over and over. Do not despair in these moments, for the path to God is rarely a straight road. It is often a spiral, bringing you nearer to the center with each turn, even when it feels repetitive. Every act of patience, every moment of forgiveness, every prayer whispered for her well-being is another step upward, another stone laid on the bridge that spans from self-love to divine love. Even the imperfections in your marriage can be doorways to grace. They are the cracks through which humility enters, the chasms across which you learn to build bridges instead of walls. When you meet these imperfections with surrender, they cease to be barriers and become invitations to depend more on God, to see His hand even in the places where you feel most vulnerable. In this way, your marriage becomes not a distraction from your spiritual journey, but the very road upon which you walk toward God. Picture the two of you as pilgrims on a long and beautiful road. The path is sometimes smooth, lined with flowers and bathed in light. At other times, it is rocky and shrouded in mist. Yet always, you walk hand in hand, not because the path is easy, but because the journey is shared. And ahead, far in the distance, there is a great light, warm, unshakable, all-embracing. That light is your true home, and each step you take together, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to it. So I bless you now. May you see in your wife the reflection of your past, the sacred test of your present, and the radiant grace that leads you toward eternal union with the Beloved. May your hearts remain soft toward each other, your spirits united in purpose, and your eyes ever fixed on the one who walks with you both. And when the final steps of this life are taken, may you look upon each other with the joy of souls who know they have helped each other find the way back to the infinite love from which they came.